Currently unmuted.
We are ready.
Okay, they've got to acknowledge the video recording. So, all right. So, all right. Well, good morning. Are we in yet? Are people entering?
I just pushed the admit all button.
Okay, thank you.
The number is going up now.
All right.
In a couple seconds.
Good morning.
Currently unmuted. Alt audio set mute. Star space. Stop my video. Alt plus V button.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. This is Ron Graham. I'm the president of HAVIN, and I want to say thank you for being here today.
Video.
Welcome to the 2022 HAVIN Insight Expo.
Audio mute.
We are glad you're here. It's an exciting day. We've worked hard to put together a good program, and I think we've really shot for the moon and landed. So thank you from Space City. We are there. Houston has no problems. Our theme this year, as everybody knows, is be your own boss. And we put together a pretty solid lineup I think you're going to enjoy with our own group members from HAVIN, but also some outside guests to present today. And I'm just tickled how everything's came together. One of the things that's been emphasized over and over with us is that this is a total team effort. We are a team, but it's like Helen Keller says, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. And I remember sharing that quote at one of our first HAVIN Insight Expos, and it just reiterates itself every year when we do something on a grand scale. So we thank you for being here today. I think we are going to deliver on the promise of what we have to share and hopefully empower each of you to be your own boss, because one of the things that hits us as well as vision loss is that shaking of our confidence that we can't do some things. But it's a matter of mindset, confidence, learning the skills, getting out there and taking control of our life all over again. So we hope to empower you and bring this on board and share tips and insights and role models on how to do this. So we are going to begin now with the national anthem of both the US and Canada in recognition of our friends from the North. So Maestro, if you would cue those up. This is by Miss Karen Eitel. She is the alternate representative for the Houston Council of the Blind. And we're not hearing anything yet. Okay, so while he's doing that, I do want to say thank you to our exhibitors. We do have an exhibit hall from 1 to 3 this afternoon. Some of the exhibitors will be here during the day. I know some are already here, and our virtual exhibit hall will be open. They will have their own rooms. You'll be able to move from room to room on your own. And please visit them. They help make the expo what it is. So Chris, how we coming there, buddy? We're not hearing you.
Sorry, we got a bit of a lock here. I'll just be a second.
Okay. And we put a lot of time and effort into this, and of course, as each of you know so well, we depend on our technology. So bear with us. We're working through the issue here, and hopefully this will resolve itself quickly. Believe it or not, there are trial runs where everything works perfectly. It's just when you need it to, it's like working with kids or animals. Don't try to plan on everything running smoothly. Technology is going to be a jinx sometimes. So
Just want to announce, Ron, that we are at 50 participants right now and climbing.
awesome. Awesome. Thank you very
And
much
Ron,
for that.
if we want, for time constraints, I know he's working on that. You want to go ahead and do the intros of the board members?
Well, that's going to run for a bit. I tell you what, we have a door prize scheduled at the end of this segment. Why don't we bump? Okay,
Sharing is resumed.
here we go.
Participants can now see Gail's iPhone for the waiting room. Gail's iPhone does it. Gail's iPhone has joined the meeting. Treasurer has entered the waiting room for this meeting. Leaving men. Type talk to task view but task bar mic file space task switcher HAVIN 02-0 Canada 2 Windows Media Player. Treasurer has joined the meeting. $1573 * 880 for the waiting room. $1573 * Louis Maurer has entered. Louis Maurer for the wait. Louis Maurer has left the waiting room. Louis Maurer. Erica Wolf. Erica Wolf. Erica Wolf. Desktop folder view. Talk to task view. Task Windows Media. JAWS task list. Google Chrome. Notepad dash task bar Zoom blank. Task bar Notepad dash 1. Task bar blank blank. This meeting is being recorded by the host. Meeting controls 7 of Zoom 1 of 9. This meeting is being recorded by the host or a participant. More menu. The account owner can also watch this recording if it's stored in the cloud. Any part.
All right, Chris, thank you very much for sharing those. That was Miss Karen Itel performing both the U.S. National Anthem and the Canadian National Anthem, O Canada. So for those of you who don't know, HAVIN is a group, as our name says, it's the Houston Area Visually Impaired Network. We network the various groups and organizations that serve the blindness community here in Houston. We are 8 entities, each separate, but we join together to do things normally in person, and hopefully next year we will be in person. But right now we are on Zoom, and thank you for being here, because being on Zoom does give us opportunities to do things we normally don't do, and get people here who normally couldn't come. So I will go through and introduce each organization, and their representative will introduce themselves and share about what they do. So alphabetically, which is how we often do things here, we will go through the list. First one is the Blind Professionals Network.
Awesome. Thank you, Ron. My name is Victoria Hillard. I am actually I serve on the Haven board as the vice president, as well as I am the founder and executive director of Blind Professionals Network. And I serve on this board in that capacity with my backup and assistant director, Greg Roberts. Blind Professionals Network is where blind and visually impaired individuals unite to break barriers and achieve professional success. And we can be found contact information through haventx.org, as well as on our website, which is blindpronet.org.
All right. Thank you, Victoria.
You're welcome.
Our next group is the Dan Arnold Center for Visual Rehabilitation. And Carmen Mullins is the occupational therapist there. And I know she registered. I'm not sure if she's here today. We've just recently reconnected with this organization, and I'm not hearing anything from Carmen, but they meet at the UT Health Center, downtown Houston. Their contact information is in the program you received an email this morning, and we will go to the next organization, the Foundation Fighting Blindness. And this is our keynote speaker, by the way.
Good morning. My name is Carly Colton, and I'm the chapter president. We do have the keynote speaker, Naomi Panarella, who serves as our vice president. We are so lucky to have her. A few things about the Foundation Fighting Blindness. We are the largest non-governmental funder of research that works in an effort to find prevention, treatments, and cures for retinal degenerative diseases. And so there's a broad spectrum of those. I'll name a few: retinitis pigmentosa, macular degeneration, Stargardt's, and Usher syndrome are, like I said, just a few of the ones that we do research for. We do have an awareness campaign. We have socials, fundraising events, etc. So a way to get groups of people together with the same common goal and common cause that they support. So looking forward to the exhibit hall. Thank you, Ron.
All right. Thank you, Carly. I appreciate you jumping in here. And next up, we have the Houston Council of the Blind.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Nelly Martinez. I'm the representative for the Houston Council of the Blind, and my alternative is Karen Itel. The mission of the Houston Council of the Blind is to improve the independence, security, equality of opportunity, and quality of life for all persons who are blind or visually impaired. HCB aims to elevate the social, economic, and cultural levels of persons in our community by providing a forum for their views and experiences, by broadening vocational and educational opportunities, and by encouraging and assisting the visually impaired to develop their abilities and potential to assume a responsible place in our community. And we meet up about once a month virtually. So if anybody is interested, you guys are always welcome to join our meetings.
All right. Thank you, Nelly. And next up, we have the iBug Today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Freeman Smith, and I am a member of iBug, which stands for I Blind Users Group, I being iOS. Initially, the organization was started to help and assist in training on Apple, but we have expanded not only everything Apple, but also Android users. So we are an organization that was created to empower the blind community to utilize accessibility technology training. And in that fashion, we're a nonprofit organization that promotes independence as well as social integration through using accessible training. And that includes numerous activities throughout the month. so numerous, I couldn't even begin to mention them, but some of the highlights: we do weekly movie nights on Friday nights. We do deep dive training once a month. We have book club events. We have Star Trek events. We have numerous monthly sessions. We even have clubhouse events. So please visit us. Everything in our, by the way, all of our training is free. And we also offer mentorship for anyone who has a product that needs to learn how to use it from an accessibility perspective. Please visit us at ibugtoday.org. Again, that's I as in igloo, BUG, today.org.
Thank you, Sarah. Next up, we have the National Federation of Blind of Texas Houston chapter.
Good morning, everybody. This is Stacy Gallegos, and I serve as president of the Houston chapter of the National Federation of the Blind of Texas. In addition, I also serve as secretary on the HAVIN board. And my better half alternate, Raul Gallegos, is not with us today. So I'm also the holding down the Zoom fort, if you will. The National Federation of the Blind is one of the largest blindness consumer organizations. We have chapters and affiliates and various divisions all over the country, including Puerto Rico. We provide services and offer assistance to people of all ages, from birth to senior adulthood. We have lots of different programs for everyone in that age group. The Houston chapter, we meet typically on the third Saturday of each month. And since the pandemic, our meetings have been held virtually. If you need to reach the National Federation of the Blind Houston chapter, feel free to send me an email. And just happy to have everyone here today. One other thing I will mention is this afternoon in the exhibit hall, please stop by the NFB Newsline room and learn about the free audio service that allows blind and print disabled individuals to have free unlimited access to newspapers and magazines and all kinds of other things. So thank you all for being here.
All right, thank you very much, Stacy. Next up, we have visually impaired advocates via
unmute audio. Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Talana Townsend, and I am the president of the Visually Impaired Advocates. My alternate is Mr. Terrence Gosey. He is here helping with some of the hosting. The Visually Impaired Advocates mission is to enhance the quality of life for the visually impaired community of the greater Houston area through community awareness, education, and inclusion. We meet every Thursday except the third Thursdays at the Metropolitan Service Center here in Houston at 1475 West Gray. It's typically from 10:30 to 11:30, sometimes 10:30 to 12, but that is a support group that we also have too. And our support group is based on respect, fairness, encouragement, and building friendships. We advocate because we advocate for ourselves and for others in the disability community. If you want to reach us, our website is viadvocates.org, or you can email us at viadvocates@gmail.com. Thanks for coming. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Ms. Talana. And the last group is the visually impaired people of Southeast Texas. And that's where I come in. I'm the founder and president of this support group. We serve the Northeast area of Houston, the Humboldt, Kingwood, New Caney, Crosby area. We started almost 13 years ago, and it was a way for me to get together 4 other friends who were blind, and I was the only other blind person they knew. And it was a way to at least let them meet other people in the area who were blind or visually impaired. And we said, well, if it takes off, we'll have a support group. And we've been meeting monthly ever since. At our last meeting, we had 25 people in attendance. So we meet hybrid. Some of our regular members attending don't even come through in person. They come only hybrid. And that's a good thing because Zoom makes it happen. So if you're interested, our contact information is in the program, as is for every group here. If you're interested in one of these groups or organizations, contact them through the person, phone number, email in the program. One other side of HAVIN that doesn't always get talked about, but we'd be remiss to not bring them up, and that's our board of advisors. We've got 5 advisors. Raul Gallegos, as Stacy said, Raul can't be here today. He's with RJ Tech Solutions. He does a lot of our behind the scenes tech support, and he's just our hands-on tech guy. We also have Mindy Graham with the VIPSET, with visually impaired people of Southeast Texas, also my better half. And she does a lot of our hosting, hospitality, be kind to people kind of thing. She's awesome. So then we have Chelsea Wynn. Chelsea is from CN Vision Image Consulting, and she's been involved with HAVIN for most of the time we've been here as our volunteer coordinator. She has a long history with the blindness community in Houston, doing descriptive tours and events like the rodeo and such. And we also have Dr. Nicole Hooper with the Center for Sight Enhancement at the University of Houston College of Optometry. And finally, we have Dr. Swati Modi. She's with the Center for Sight Enhancement at the University of Houston College of Optometry as well. So that's our HAVIN board, and I'm blessed. I've got a great team of people around me. A lot of people say, Ron, you're the president of HAVIN. That's a title, but I'm nothing without these people around me. So thank you to everybody for being part of HAVIN here with me. So now I'm going to call on that better half that I mentioned just a minute ago. We have a $50 door prize. It's an Amazon gift card. Miss Mindy?
Hello. We have a lot of great door prizes today. I'm really excited to help pass those out. The first door prize, if your name is called, if you will please raise your hand so we know that you're actively listening, and that if you can, it's $50 from HAVIN, of course, to Amazon, and it goes to Zora Schultz. All right, congratulations.
And I can confirm that she is here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations, Zora. So we're going to go into the next part of our program, and I'm going to let Dr. Modi, she will take care of the introductions for each of our segments, and I'm going to turn it over at this time for our keynote speaker. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I do have the honor of introducing our keynote speaker, Naomi Panarella. Naomi is the current treasurer of HAVIN, the vice president of the Foundation Fighting Blindness Houston chapter, as well as being active in several other organizations. She is the reigning Miss Blind Diva 2021 to 2022 title holder and is employed at Cheniere. Naomi understands what it's like to deal with onset vision loss, and yet she fully embraces her pursuit of life with adult onset vision loss, excuse me. Naomi, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, just want to do a check. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dr. Modi, for that introduction. And I just want to let everyone know that I'm so grateful that you all are willing to take some time out of your Saturday, because you really could be anywhere else and you're here. So I know all of us from the HAVIN board, as well as all the other attendees, are grateful that you are taking your time to be with us. So I'd like to tell everyone a little short story. I know this woman, and she is one of the busiest people that I know. She works a full-time job as one of the busiest occupations, meaning she is always being tugged and pulled in 100 directions. Yet she still keeps a wonderful disposition in an attempt to never let her coworkers see her sweat. She volunteers for more than a handful of organizations, 6 to be exact. That's a lot of organizations. She is active and takes time to ensure that she takes a hike in a new park, or she's practicing yoga, and is always attempting to refine her cha-cha moves on the dance floor. She's learning a new language and has weekly classes for that. My gosh. She's an avid supporter of the performing and visual arts, and she loves staring into space, quite literally, because she is obsessed with anything related to space. She's a proud homeowner of a sometimes challenging to clean 3-story townhouse. She's a pet mom to an incredibly spoiled cat. She is a first-generation graduate from within her family. And she's currently a beauty pageant title holder, and she's always on the go. She is most definitely her own boss in every way. And she is visually impaired with retinitis pigmentosa. She is me. So I first learned about my eye disease later in life, as Dr. Modi mentioned. It was an adult onset eye disease. I was indeed born with it. I just didn't start having signs until I was well into my 30s. I have to admit, being told by a doctor that I was basically going blind at a very slow pace with nothing to prescribe to try and stop it was shocking and really left me speechless. I remember that day as I was standing in the streets of New York, and it was raining, and every single drop hitting me felt like a shard of glass. I immediately began thinking of my future and the incredibly amazing life I had had up to that day. Was it now all over for me? Would I no longer have a job? Could I no longer travel? Would having fun cease to exist for me? Would I no longer live an independent life? Had it all just come to a complete halt? It can all go away. Things can change very quickly, and one day to the next, your world can be turned upside down. My world was beginning to shake, but I was determined to find my balance. I'm having to hold these two realities, holding both, holding both the absolute cutting, heartbreaking, painful things and all the extremely beautiful, soulful things in the same palm of one hand. And it's hard to do that, but you have to do that, because otherwise the grief takes over and you think, okay, this has happened, but this isn't going to interrupt the plan I have. It's just a bump in the road, and I'm choosing to live my life as an act of optimism, as an act of declaration, and an act of defiance, because darkness will absolutely try to overtake you. But you just have to turn on your metaphoric light. Focus on the light. Hold on to the light and be the boss of your life. I find you must confront the worst by relying on your best. Find a form of creative expression to express what feels impossible to express. To express the undeniable has been so important for me since I was diagnosed. Triumph over adversity is a theme that captures the full sweep of my life right now, the rotation between triumph, our bright days, and adversity, our dark nights. I used to believe my vision impairment happened to me, but now I know it happened for me. Right now, I am living the brightest of my achievements and the darkness of my struggles, but that's life. So you just have to strap in and keep moving forward. Make relentless forward progress and run. And if you can't run, walk. And if you can't walk, crawl. And if you can't crawl, get someone to drag you, but never, ever stop moving forward. I look at things now as a second act. A second act measuring what is more painful, to take a chance on yourself or to stay where you are. Since I don't see very well, I will say feel. Feel what is heavier and go with that. I can't control my condition, but I can control how I feel about it. We are all the architects of our own lives, and I am constantly working on the right blueprint for mine because I am my own boss.
All right. Thank you. And that's all the Zoom applause blasting you right now, Naomi. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. And I know, speaking on behalf of the HAVIN board, we look up to you and the way you embrace life. And really glad you're here with us to take part in today and be our keynote speaker. So thank you for that, Naomi. And we are ready to move forward with our next section. Our first presentation is Dan Parker and Dr. Modi. I'll let you take care of the introduction here.
Thank you, Ron. Dan Parker was a champion drag racer when a catastrophic accident during a race on March 31st, 2012, caused him to become totally blind. Following that, Dan figured out how to take control of his life and return to racing. On the 10th anniversary of that life-changing accident, Dan drove a Corvette he helped design in excess of 211 miles per hour, setting a new world record. Dan, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I appreciate the invite to share my story with all the amazing work that y'all do, everybody in the Houston area. Currently, I'm sitting in a hotel in Charlotte, North Carolina, about to go to the drag races for the day. But if any of us have watched the movie Field of Dreams, we know the actor Kevin Costner was a corn farmer in Iowa on the verge of bankruptcy. And in his dream, he had a vivid dream that if he would build a baseball field, ghosts of famous baseball players in the past, like Shoeless Joe Jackson, would show up. And he set out to not only build his Field of Dreams, but the ghost of the past showed up. And with his family and people ridiculing him, he just kept moving forward with his vision. And today I'd like to share with you my Field of Dreams. So at a young age, I learned real quick that I was no good at stick and ball sports, but I was attracted to anything mechanical, bicycles, skateboards, mini bikes. At 8 years old, my father entered me in a mini bike race, our local drag strip, and I came in second place. At 14 years old, I was Georgia State road race bicycle champion. And all through high school, I worked at bicycle shops. Soon after graduating high school, I started bracket racing cars on a weekly basis, gradually driving faster and faster cars until in 1997, I landed a job driving what's called a pro modified car. They were the fastest cars on the planet that still have a working left door. In 1997, I drove for Ellis Miller. In 2000, I won the Dixie Pro Stock World Championship. 2005, I won the American Drag Racing League Pro Nitrous World Championship. In 2008, I runnered up to Billy Harper, and in the final, we were the first side-by-side 3-second pass in Pro Nitrous history. That means 0 to under 4 seconds in an eighth of a mile, basically 0 to 190 in 4 seconds, 0 to 75 in 1 second, 3.2 G's of acceleration out of the starting line. Well, March 31st, 2012 was a day that changed my life forever. We were testing a new engine combination. We made 2 half-track passes, and everything was going according to plan exceptionally well. So on the third pass, we decided to make a full pass and try to qualify for the race. As soon as I went through the finish line, something drastically went wrong, and the car made a hard right turn into the wall at 175 miles per hour and tore down the concrete wall, went flipping and tumbling, and I ended up, the car broke in half. There was no motor, no transmission, nothing forward of my feet. They tried to life flight me out of the racetrack, but there was a storm in between the University of Alabama Hospital and the racetracks. They had to put me in an ambulance. With my then girlfriend riding shotgun, I was in such bad shape, they called ahead and had another ambulance meet my ambulance on the side of the road so their EMT could get in my ambulance to help keep me alive. I would wait 2 weeks later from an induced coma to find out that I was now 100% blind for life. While I was in the coma, my brain swelled, compressed my optic nerve, and killed it. Well, I came home 2 weeks later, so I spent right a total of a month in UAB hospital to a new world of darkness. You know, I had no idea what my future held. In 1 4-second pass, I lost my business, my way to make a living. You know, everything that I knew before was gone, and I didn't know what to do. So I started going through some deep depression. About 6 months after my wreck, I was on the verge of suicide. It came to me in a dream one night. I went to bed thinking about my brother, Chris, who passed away in 2009, and my mother, who passed away just 6 months before my wreck in 2011. Chris always told me a story about 4 guys from France that built a motorcycle. They designed it where they could take it apart, put it in the luggage, and they did. They flew to the United States, rented a car, drove to the Bonneville Salt Flats, put it together, and they each got a record with, without sidecar, with, without fairing, in different configurations. So in my dream, I dreamed I could be the first blind man to race the famed Bonneville Salt Flats. I woke up at 2 o'clock that night, just clear vision as I ever had one in my life. And I had a purpose. I never went back to sleep. My inventive mind was going 100 miles an hour at that point. And when Jennifer woke up, I told her what I wanted to do. And she said, okay. So little did I know that only roughly 16 months later, after a bunch of struggles and but some generous donations of time, money, parts, that August of 2013, with the help of the National Federation of the Blind and the Blind Driver Challenge, I became the first blind man to race Bonneville with an average speed of 55.331 miles per hour. So what makes the story even a little bit more unique is a friend of mine at Boeing Fanworks designed me a guidance system that gives me audible feedback so I know how to stay on course. There's other blind land speed racers, Ben Felton in Australia and Mike Newman in England. They each have human assistance. So when I set the record at Bonneville, I'm not only the first blind man, but the only blind man to race with no human assistance. In the meantime, I knew I had to sort of get my life on track to be able to say I have a sustainable future. So I enrolled at the Louisiana Center for the Blind in May of 2014. August of 2014, we returned to Bonneville and set my FIM class record with no exemptions for blindness. And I raced against my sighted peers. And my new FIM world record is 62.05 miles per hour. So I returned. As soon as I got home from Bonneville, I graduated LCB on March 31st, 2015, 3 years to the date of my wreck. When I came home, I had skills. I've had several jobs, been blessed, but the side effects of my traumatic brain injury has made me have to quit all the jobs I've had between neurofatigue, extreme headaches, just having bad days and good days. So I needed a mission. I needed a purpose again. So I knew there's one record still left standing, the title for the world's fastest blind man. Guinness classifies it as the fastest car driven blindfolded. And so there again, we could race against our sighted peers. In 2017, I set out to build a 2008 Corvette. I designed it. We rescued it from almost a scrapyard. It was a flood salvage car, no motor, no interior. And after several years of hard work, a lot of people volunteering, we finished the car. We get close in 2019, and the producers of Jay Leno's Garage reached out to me and asked me if I would like to come on the show. The last they could film for that season was February of 2020. Once I had a commitment from them, I was able to secure some marketing partners that allowed me to have enough money to finish the car. In February of 2020, we filmed the show. On my first full pass, I went 153.8 miles per hour. Then COVID hit. Everything come to a stop. My sponsors backed out because obviously they had more commitment to their employees than racing, which is totally understandable. Well, in the end of February of 2020, President Ricky Bono of the NFB, who drove the Blind Driver Challenge vehicle, reached out to me and asked me if we would like to try to attempt the Guinness record on the 10-year anniversary of the Blind Driver Challenge, which in 2011, he successfully drove and navigated a special vehicle designed by Virginia Tech around Daytona Motor Speedway that allowed him to have obstacle avoidance, navigation, etc. So we got the car prepared, and then end of 2021, the Delta variant ramped up, so we had to postpone it till March of 2022. And just not by design, when we were reaching out to Spaceport in New Mexico about, when would be good to rent, they told us they wanted us to rent it Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And that was their typical days they would rent the Spaceport. No problem. So January, February was out of the question because of cold and snow. So that left us March, the soonest there was. We wanted to go towards the end of March so it would be warming up. And by chance, March 31st, 2022, exactly 10 years to the date of my wreck, was the Thursday, the last day available to rent it. So the team set out on Saturday, March 26th for the cross-country hike to New Mexico, 1,500 miles one way from my house. We had horrible wind conditions on Tuesday and Wednesday, 50 miles per hour winds on Tuesday, 40 miles per hour winds on Wednesday. And typically in land speed racing, they don't race over 11 to 15 miles per hour winds. But I had my practice Corvette there also, and I was able to run it 120 miles an hour within a 10-foot wide path and 50 miles per hour side winds. So on Wednesday, we got the race car dialed in. I had made a couple short passes on Wednesday. My first pass, 158 miles per hour, beating my 153. My second pass, 176. We felt confident. We knew that we could do it. We just needed a little luck to fall in place. So on Thursday morning, I made a boarded run. I was having some problems. Come back, made a few adjustments. And then my next pass was 205 miles per hour. I knew we were getting close at this point. But the car still just didn't feel right. We brought it back to the pits. I made some shock adjustment calls, did a little bit to the steering. With only a few hours left on our contract at the Spaceport, we went out there. So when you set a Guinness World Record, you have to make a pass one direction, and within 1 hour, you have to turn around and go the opposite direction. So if the wind helps you one way, it hurts you the other way, and it averages out. So my first full pass, I went 210 miles per hour. On my return backup pass, I went 212, giving me a world record of 211.043 miles per hour, which is an amazing feat, again, with no human assistance. So to date, I'm the only blind land speed racer to race to 50, 100, 150, and 200 miles per hour with no human assistance. So the Blind Driver Challenge, we're using it to not only use as an advocacy tool for the self-driving cars, so they make accessibility a forethought, not an afterthought for all of us. but also educate society what the potential of the blind is. So hopefully the next time when, one of us blind goes and applies for a job, they learn about my story and what we can do, that they're not automatically turned down, and we can share what, given an accessible world, that we can compete with our sighted peers in the classroom, the workplace, or now the racetrack. And so I'm really glad to share my story with everybody today. And we got more to come. My next project, we want to build a semi-autonomous bicycle for the blind. I'm hoping to have it out in 2023. But thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. I really appreciate you coming here and joining us today. Dan and I, we've known each other for a few years, and I'm happy to call him a friend. I'm proud to call him a friend. I've been watching his success along the way. So do we have questions for Dan?
Jeffrey Rainey, guest feedback hand raised.
There's
There's
a
a question from Jeffrey Rainey.
Yep.
Okay. Jeff? Are you unmuted, Jeff?
Go ahead.
Hey, Jeff? Are you unmuted? Okay. Don't know what the issue is here.
I lowered his hand, but that should not have prevented him from unmuting.
Yeah.
Star 6 to unmute.
Hey, Jeff?
If you're on a Windows computer, it's Alt A.
Chelsea, Naomi Panarella.
Okay. But
There are a few other questions that came in. Christy Braley has a question.
okay. Let's see if we can get them knocked out. Okay. Can we get them unmuted? Christy? Hey, Christy?
Currently unmuted. Naomi Panarella, HAVIN board member, guest.
Co-hosts can send unmute privileges to people.
Okay.
Well, we're waiting for Christy. Maybe I know Naomi has a question as well.
Naomi?
Yes. Hi, Dan.
Oh,
Thank you so much for joining us. That was an incredible story. I'm in awe, but very, very cool things happening with you. I think it's everything you've done is amazing. You mentioned briefly a bicycle that you're working on that's coming out in 2023. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I mean, you said it so fast. I just caught bike and 2023.
Okay. We've had this idea for a long time, but with all the engineering that goes into the guidance system for the race car, we think we could adapt it to a bicycle. So basically it would be two bicycles. So the lead bike would be gathering electronic GPS data and then dropping a breadcrumb, electronic breadcrumb trail. With my bike, or the blind, bike, would follow it semi-autonomously. So the computer would handle the steering, so it would follow it. So the lead bike would be providing navigation and obstacle avoidance. But I'm not talking about a typical two-wheel bike. These are what's called tadpole recumbents. So they sit very low to the ground. They're three-wheel bikes, two wheels up front and one in the back. So they're very stable. You can take balance out of the equation. And, me included, we all need exercise. And it's so hard for us to get out and enjoy, fresh air, sunshine, etc.
Sure.
So we're hoping that, the Corvette and some other projects will give us a little attention, that we could help get the funding to build this. We're already in the preliminary stages of doing the research and figuring out what bicycle frames we're going to use, the vendors. And so that's my goals for 2023, is to have a semi-autonomous bicycle.
Very cool. I will be on the lookout for that bicycle. Thank you for sharing.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think for Jeffrey and Christy, if you want to type your question in the chat, if you're unable to mute, if you're unable to unmute, you can always type your question in and we can read it.
And I think they're unmuted.
No, I've sent several requests for them to unmute, but they're still not unmuting.
It might be because multiple people are sending a request, so it may be remuting them. Try one more time, Chelsea.
Okay.
Currently unmuted.
I've sent her a request to unmute.
And while waiting on that, Dan, I want to say that I've known your story. I followed your story all along, but I was still riveted hearing you tell it. And I appreciate you doing that. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing your time today.
Oh, you are very welcome. Yeah, we're Jennifer, my fiance. We drove up last night to Spartanburg, South Carolina. Spent the night with my engine builder. And we're almost here to Charlotte to the drag strip. We're going to go to the drag races today. And if anybody wants to see something pretty cool, you can YouTube search Steve Harvey Blind Man Proposes. So I proposed to Jennifer on the Steve Harvey show using my Orcam device, and it was a really unique, cool day. She had no idea it was coming.
I'm glad you brought that up, because if you didn't, I was going to.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Currently unmuted.
All right, Christy is unmuted now.
Okay, Christy.
Christy still isn't unmuted.
It keeps
but we have a
remuting
hand.
her. George is unmuted though.
Yes,
Oh, howdy.
George is unmuted.
Currently unmuted.
Okay,
George
go ahead,
yes.
George.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Fantastic story and glad to hear it. I was wondering, you mentioned about YouTube video about you proposing on the Steve show. So I'm just wondering, is there a live YouTube video of you actual setting the record of the track that you did last month? I'm somebody who does a lot of awareness presentations. And one of the things that I do talk about as a part of my true false part of the presentations is talking about driving. I may ask the questions, anything people that blind people can't do, and people always talk about driving. So I'm just wondering if there's a video, because I would like to include a video of you fulfilling that task, if it is available.
So the NFB is putting together a video. We had a film crew at Spaceport to capture the whole weekend, you know, the highs and lows, because we had plenty of lows. We had a lot of obstacles to overcome. So the NFB is putting together a video, and I think it should be available by the National Convention in July.
And is there audio with that video as well?
It should be. They're not finished with it yet, but yes, it should be audio described also.
Okay, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Space, mute me button, chat, mute me, chat. Alt Y.
We do have a few more questions that I think we have time for. Moni, you'd like to ask your question? You're already unmuted.
Chat, mute me.
Yes, hi Dan, this is Monica. I was gonna ask, do you have a YouTube channel that we could follow? Or any social media?
Oh, in my social media, I have 2 Facebook pages, Tragedy to Triumph Racing, and The Blind Machinist. And my website is theblindmachinist.com. Hand machine custom aluminum ink pens and sell them. And so if you go to YouTube, you can just search Dan Parker Racing or The Blind Machinist. And there's plenty of videos. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Currently unmuted.
So this is Stacy, and Jeffrey, who had his hand raised but was having some mute difficulties, has a question for you, Dan. Did you have to see a concussion specialist as a result of your injuries?
Yes. Yeah. And man, I suffer from traumatic brain injury, and one of the hardest things I had to do before they let me come home was take basically a test. They memory test, and because that's obviously one of the big side effects from a TBI, and it was rough because I still had my whole right arm was stuck straight, stitches and skin graft sites. So on top of the physical pain, I had to go in this room and take this test. I miserably failed. They wouldn't even let Jennifer stay in the room with me. But people think I'm crazy when I tell them that if I was a doctor, they told me I had my choice. If I could cure my blindness or my brain injury, I would pick cure my brain injury because it's far worse than anything the blindness is. But that's just part of what I have to deal with on a daily basis.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. Any other questions? Any other hands raised?
There are a couple more hands raised. Christy, if you're able to unmute, we'll give you another shot at your question. Otherwise, Michael McCullough has a question as well.
Yes, thank you, Dan. Excellent presentation. Really enjoyed it. It's more just a comment rather than a question. You had mentioned you were, when you did the speed record, you got up in going 0 to 75, I think, in 1 second and pulling 3 Gs or a little over 3 Gs. And folks don't know, that's pretty much the equivalent back when the space shuttle was flying. When it would launch off the launch pad, the astronauts would experience roughly 3 Gs as they were going uphill into space. And of course, fighter pilots in jet planes experience, that and even more sometimes. So that's pretty amazing. Thanks, Dan.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
Base mute.
Sailor Cooper had a question.
Okay. We get Sailor unmuted.
She's
mute.
Sailor's unmuted, or now muted. Let's see. Dan, while we're waiting for Sailor, would you mind repeating? There was a little bit of feedback. Would you mind repeating the
mute. Currently unmuted.
Mind repeating what?
The YouTube channel for you had started to say tragedy, and then I couldn't quite catch what the remaining
audio
part was.
video start mute audio enter context microphone array select the mic.
I believe that's Sailor's job. Sailor, we hear you now. If you're trying to get unmuted.
So my Facebook is Tragedy to Try Racing and the Blind Machinist on Facebook. But somebody can search Dan Parker Racing or the Blind Machinist on YouTube.
Hello.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hello, can y'all hear me now?
Yes, we can, Sailor.
Okay, well, first, Dan, I just want to say your story is just so impressive. Just, man, the adversity you've overcome, and the fact that even though it's as tragic as the accident was, you just decided to keep going. But how did your car, how does your new car work nowadays? Like, do you use a verbal, audio voice commands to drive? Do you have vibrations? How can you drive so fast with a new car? Because, man, I would love to do that at some point.
Yes. So, all we're trying to do is go straight, obviously very fast. So we don't worry about obstacle avoidance or navigation for turns. So the guidance system, we plot the center line of the course at the very end and the very beginning of the course. That gives us a theoretical center line. Once I take off, if I go to the right, I get a tone in my right ear, and the further off center I go, the tone increases like doo, doo, doo. Well, if I go 20 feet right or left, the computer automatically shuts off the car for safety. And then, so if the tone is steady, but it's just my right ear, that means I'm going straight. I'm just a little to the right, which is no big deal. Then I can start sneaking it more towards the center line. Then I get 200 feet from the finish line, the computer calls out parachute. I deploy the parachute, then finish. So then I know once I can feel the parachute tug, then I apply, let off the engine, start applying the brakes. The engineer at the command center, he can remotely shut me down if there's a problem. And then I have a passenger riding shotgun because I designed the race car to have 2 steering wheels. So in an emergency situation, they can reach up and take over if they have to. By now we were hoping that I'd be able to make independent passes, but just with everything, we just couldn't do it. We was having so many other issues. But, I went 212 miles an hour driving it by myself, just 100% relying on my guidance system to give me the tones and the audible feedback to be able to navigate the course.
Oh wow! So you're driving by yourself. You just have someone in the car with you for emergencies. Currently unmuted.
That's right. Yes.
Wow. I'm very impressed. Very impressed.
Oh,
You've overcome so much adversity.
And Sailor, thank you for your question. We're going to need to move on. We may have time for 1 or 2 more questions.
Guest feedback. I think, Dan, what you share emphasizes a quote that I really embrace that you gave, that I'm not a blind man trying to race. I'm a racer who went blind. And, you embody that.
Cool. Good deal. Well, thank you so much, y'all. And Ron, I appreciate the invite and glad to share my story. And I hope y'all have a rest of y'all's.
Thank you, Dan. And thank you for your donation, because our door prize that will be given away right after this is a handcrafted pen that Dan made in his machine shop. So thank you. And I'll get back with you on that, Dan. Thank you for your time.
Have a great weekend.
Awesome. You enjoy the race. Tell Jennifer hello, and y'all have a great weekend there. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Bye. All right. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. Dan's pretty awesome. And we're going to move to the prize patrol here.
Woohoo! I really enjoyed hearing Naomi. That was awesome. For those of you who don't know Naomi personally, she is a beautiful physically person, but she's also just a beautiful person inside. And I really enjoyed hearing from her and Dan. So the handcrafted pen that Dan Parker, our last speaker, made goes to Paul Williams. Congratulations, Paul.
KP, congratulations.
And he is here.
Yes.
Okay. So
very much.
And I'll say this. Dan shared that he made these pens in his shop. He sold them as fundraisers to help support his project. And I know I ordered one a few years ago and gave it as a gift to my brother for Christmas. And it's nice. It comes in a nice wooden presentation case. So congratulations, KP. I think that's a nice keepsake door prize that you just won. So
it's valued at $50.
Thank you very much. And we appreciate Dan for donating that. So we're going to move into the next presentation, the next workshop by several of our own Haven people here. And Dr. Modi, I'll let you go ahead and introduce this.
Great, thank you. We've heard some incredible stories already, but in this 3-part presentation, Victoria Hillard and Greg Roberts from Blind Professionals Network will share tips and strategies on how to turn what you love into additional income. You will also be introduced to Trisha Wechter, CEO of Blind Girl Designs, an example of a BVI, blind and visually impaired individual, that has turned her passion into profit. BPN will also discuss the importance of building your own brand, the other BYOB. Lastly, Chelsea Wynn with CN Vision Image Consulting will explore and supply great tips to dress for success. Let me turn it over to the presentation.
All right. So
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Mahdi, and thank you, Ron. And first, I want to just thank my whole HAVIN team, because I just think that we've all come together and put in a lot of work. And Ron, our president, and our whole HAVIN team, we definitely, our teamwork makes our dream work. And this is, part of our dream. So thank you all for that. As mentioned, I am Victoria Hillard. I am the founder of Blind Professionals Network. I'm so excited to be co-facilitating today this presentation, because it actually comprises my passion of helping individuals with their passion as well as profit, as who doesn't love profit, right? So I would like to now introduce Greg Roberts, who is the Assistant Director of Blind Professionals Network, and one of my co-facilitators. And just to say hello, Greg, you want to say hello, Greg?
Good morning, all, and thank you guys so much for joining us today. I know that's been said several times, but regardless of what we do, we can't do it without you guys. So we definitely thank you. My name is Greg Roberts. I am the Assistant Director of BPN, as well as in my everyday life, I am a revenue officer with the Internal Revenue Service, as well as, like we say, building your own brand. I am a travel agent along with a life insurance agent. So got a lot of hats there, but I am so glad to be presenting this presentation. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you, Greg. And then our next co-facilitator presenter is Chelsea Wynn with CN Vision Image Consulting. Chelsea, you there? Chelsea?
Hello? Hello?
Yep, we got you.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Sorry about that. Okay. Anyway, hi, everybody. My name is Chelsea Nguyen. And as Ron mentioned earlier, I've been involved in the blind Houston community for quite some time now, and a very proud member of HAVIN as the volunteer coordinator. But outside of that and working with HAVIN, I also have my own business, and I did follow my own passion and became my own boss for quite some time now. First, originally, as my background was in cosmetology, and taking that passion, and I turned it into filling a need and working with individuals who are blind, visually impaired, or have other disabilities, to empower them with the skills to look their best, feel their best, and always be, ready for whether it's employment or having their best face forward in professional settings. So my business is CN Vision Image Consulting, and we do trainings online as well as in person. And it's a lot of our trainings are sponsored and totally free at cost if you are signed up with Texas Workforce, as well as the Allied States Cooperative nationwide. So we really love working with individuals of all abilities, and it's just a great privilege and honor to be here. And thank you for having me part of this presentation, Victoria.
Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you.
All right, guys. So this presentation, as Dr. Modi said earlier, is separated into 3 parts, all of equal value. Part 1 is passion into profit, right? So that's what we've been hearing so far, where Victoria and I will, Victoria and I will be sharing information and tips about turning your passion into profit, right?
Awesome. And then part 2, which is exciting, we are actually going to introduce you to Trisha Weckner with Blind Girl Designs. And this is actual proof that turning your passion into profits is possible. So that will be part 2. And then, go ahead, Greg.
And then part 3 will be other build your own brand. At this point, we will be, dressing for success. And here's where Chelsea and Victoria will be working together to talk about some tips for dress for that success. You know, we got to have that passion, we got to have it all. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
Thank you, Greg. So, okay, so I'll go ahead and start off with part 1, which is turning your passion into profit. So, you know, one of the things, I don't think we need to go into exact detail on passion because everybody knows what passion is, but you know, it's a different meaning for everybody. Okay, so we all have passion in us and we all have things that we love to do, but it's hard to put passion into words. I know that can be, but it's actually an emotional state. Passion is, it's something that helps you motivate you into action, and action is what creates results. Okay. This passion helps you to get out of bed in the morning, motivates you to do things and just to cry out and say, I'm excited about doing this. I love doing this. I'm happy to be doing this. If you can't do it for 5 hours a day, it's probably not really your passion because it's something that you have to love to do and repetitive and doing it often. It's going to actually be your desire for making yourself happy. Okay, so those are some of the terms for actually what passion is. Okay, you're going to fight hard to do it, to make it succeed, and all of that, those items. Okay, so so passion, again, I just want to make sure that we are clear on the passion, and passion makes the impossible possible. And whatever your passion is, you can follow it, you know, chase your dreams. But if you don't have a passion, it's okay, because you could take the time to experiment with things that you like to do, and passions can come to you and be created later on in the future. So anything that you're doing, just think about what you do and what you love to do. Those are your passions and can be turned into a profit. Okay. So what we're going to do today is actually, because although we love our passion and stuff, wouldn't it be awesome if we can actually make money off of our passions and make an income, whether it be full-time, extra income, you know, or career in your passion. It's all possible. So we're just going to go over a few steps with you as some key steps that can help you to turn your passion into profits. Okay. So with that, we'll go ahead and go into our first step. Okay. Greg?
Step 1. Yep, I gotcha. Step 1, identify your interests, right? Can your hobbies be turned into profit? That's a good question. Just about any passion that you love can be turned into a profit, right? So one of the things that we think of when we say profit or passion, we get different tips, right? But before you even do that, I want you to think about these questions. First, what, excuse me, what is that one big thing I've wanted to do for a while that I just can't stop thinking about? Okay. Once you get an answer to that question, then you say, what do I have experience in already that could support what I want to do? Next, what lights me up, brings me joy, and makes me feel excited and expansive, and maybe even a little nervous to do? All right, so once you ask yourself those questions, then you might get some answers, and some of the samples, interests, hobbies that you can turn into profit can be baking, teaching, organizing, website design, writing. A lot of people like music, so singing and or writing music, poetry, crafting, such as gift card, seasonal decoration, create art, jewelry making, knitting, sewing, online selling. All these things can be used as passion and can be turned into profit.
Right. Thank you, Greg. And then our next tip for turning your passion into profit would be schedule it in. There are so many times that we just don't have time to do things throughout the day because our schedule is busy. But one of the things, we always make time for what's important to us, right? So how important is your passion and turning your passion into profit to you? Don't be afraid to schedule though. There's times I do it all the time. I book an appointment with myself. And when you book appointments with yourself, get that time be set aside to work on turning your passion to profit. All of the things you need to research, the crafting, even make time to do it. Some people may say, my passion is, crafting or knitting or anything, but I don't have time to do it. Well, guess what? It's time to prioritize what you want to do and how much you want to get your passion out there. So if that's what you want to do, schedule a time to do it. Schedule a calendar, set a reminder, set a timer, all of those good things to help you stay on track. Okay.
All right. So next we're gonna go to do it free. All right. I know we want to make the profit, right? But before charging money, it is recommended that you give people a taste of your products or services, right? So as an example, baking. So you want to give your family and friends a taste of your baking, bake it for birthday cakes, cupcakes for classmates, cookies for your book club, things of that nature. That way people are able to give you feedback and you're able to know what works. If it's liked, then these can be your potential clients in the future, okay? It would also help to determine if you like what you're doing, right? So maybe you say, this is my passion and I like baking, but maybe after a while you say, okay, this is not what it is. Don't give up on it, just keep on fighting and keep trying to get these hobbies that you like out there, okay?
All right. And then our next tip is build a combination of skills. So yes, you have your passion and you know that I'm great at baking. I'm great at crafting. I'm great at, organizing. So those are my passions, but there could be some other skills that I may need. For example, you have to promote yourself and market yourself on Facebook. So I'm great at these things, but I'm not very good on the computer. So I want to make sure that I up those skills, do what I have to do to get at least basic skills, okay? Not only that, or on the flip end of that, I love to bake, I love to sing and do those things, but I want to get my passion out there on Facebook, and I'm very good at Facebook. So I'm going to use that skill and hone in on that and promote myself and put everything out there and share what I'm doing with my passion. And so just be sure to evaluate your skills, your skill sets. If you have some other skill sets that you can use along with your passion, maximize that. If you are lacking in a few skills, do what you need to do to get some improvement and help develop those skills for you.
All right. And then taking care of the business aspect. So one of the things that we do as taking care of the business, once you determine what your profit and your passion is for profit, legally, you want to start a business. So you want to reach out to the SBA or other organizations or groups that are out there. And there are some free ones out there. BPN is very good with this. So this is something that if you have any issues with, you can definitely reach out to us and we will assist you in that nature. I don't want to go too much into details as far as, what you need to do, but some of the things that you will need, as Victoria talked about earlier, with marketing, right? Marketing online. You want to make sure that you have a business plan. You want to make sure that you are able to fund your business. You want to make sure, whether it's at home or out in the public, that you have a business location. You want to make sure that you have a business structure. So if it's a nonprofit or anything of that nature, you want to make sure what your business structure is. Most importantly, guys, when we have a business, we want to have a name for that business, right? You want to make sure that your business is registered. When it's registered, you want to also make sure that IRS speaking here, excuse me, federal tax and state IDs, make sure that you have these people.
Yes.
Apply for your licenses and permits. So if your business needs a license and a permit, this is also what you're going to make sure. Make sure that you are able to have a bank account separate from your own bank account.
Awesome.
It may seem like a lot, but it will be worth getting your business working right. Okay.
Right.
Ahead,
And yes, and starting this is, it does seem like a lot, but people do not realize it is a lot easier than we think to start a business. Now the hard work is from us as individuals and how much we put into it and the efforts we put, but forming and all of that aspects of it is pretty easy. But at the end of the day, the last tip that we're going to give in this one is just don't give up. Okay. Do not give up no matter what. Starting a business, it may not come as quickly as you want it to come. It may be slow. But as long as you are starting and forming and getting all of the business side, keep on doing your passion, keep on sharing your passion, keep on, putting yourself out there, and just do not ever give up. Okay. And Greg, that's, do you want to add anything
and
to that?
I will say, just taking from Naomi and Dan as well from earlier, guys, you heard their passion, and they implemented and emphasize what we're talking about right now, which is, you're going to have hard times and you're going to have those things, but the satisfaction at the end is once your business is up and running, it's, your passion, you will love it. Okay. And that's all I really have to add for that.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. So now, guys, I am so excited because after we've talked about all of the business aspects and your passions and some tips on how to turn them into profit, we now want to introduce you to somebody who actually has turned her passion into profit. And her name is Trisha Wechter. She is with Blind Girl Designs. She actually is visually impaired, she's visually impaired, and she has a background in creative arts and fashion design. Okay, so she has her passion is design, and after some trials that she has faced with her blindness and her visual vision, she has actually turned her trials into triumph and founded Blind Girl Designs. And Trisha, welcome to you, Trisha. I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about some more
Thank
about
you, Victoria
you
and Greg.
Blind Girl Designs. Yes, welcome, Trisha. Thank you. So tell us a little about you and Blind Girl Designs.
Hi, everyone. My name is Trisha Wechter. I'm the founder and CEO of Blind Girl Designs, which is an apparel company based in Houston, Texas. And we primarily make women's apparel, although all of our graphic tees and hoodies are unisex. And some of the graphics are flowers. So I'm going to say pretty girly. We have a lot of other graphics that are just, generally cool graphics for anybody who wants a tee or a hoodie. So Blind Girl Designs really came out of the adversity of losing my vision. And I really identified with Dan Parker in terms of the fact that he is not a blind man trying to race. He is a racer that happens to be blind. And that is really true of me. I am a merchant who lost my sight, but I didn't lose my vision. And I went through I have retinitis pigmentosa. I have about a 10-degree visual field. And my entire career, I spent flying all over the world, predicting trends in fashion. I've been to all 7 continents. I've been to 48 countries.
Oh, Trisha, you cut out of there. Did we mute her by accident or something?
No. Oh no, Trisha,
No,
are you
that's
with
probably
us?
an internet strength issue because she's still
Internet.
unmuted.
Okay.
Yeah, and she disappeared from the screen as well. Whatever she had displayed is gone.
Okay. Well, we'll allow Trisha a second to come back in. Do you guys see? Did she leave the room or is it just
No,
me?
she's still in the room.
She's still in the room.
Yeah.
Okay, is she muted?
Okay, I hear you guys again.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Okay, are we
Thank you.
there?
Oh my gosh, I
Okay.
got so scared. I thought we lost you, Trisha.
I don't know
Okay.
what happened. It just
Okay.
disappeared. Now it just
Okay.
reappeared.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay,
So go ahead.
so fashion, color. I actually have a degree in theater. Just the arts are my passion. So I went through a significant vision loss about 4 years ago, and I could no longer do my corporate job of flying all over the world all the time. So similar to what Dan said, I lost everything. I lost my job, my medical insurance, my career, my passion. It all just went away very rapidly and pretty much plummeted me in a pretty bad depression. My doctor said, "Hey, I think you should see a therapist." And I did, and worked with a therapist, and really kind of came out of that experience with waking up one morning and saying, "Screw it. I'm going to start my own company. I have the skills to do it. I have a lot of this information. It's in my head. I don't have to rely on my eyes. I do have central vision. As long as I have, an enormous amount of bright lights, I'm good to go. And with the aid of some other people's eyes, it helps me." So I founded Blind Girl Designs on January 1st, 2021. And just so you know, Blind Girl Designs will be an exhibitor at the American Council for the Blind National Convention in July in Omaha, Nebraska. So in a really short period of time, we went from saying, I'm going to create Blind Girl Designs with literally no website, Greg, no financial filings, no business model, just an idea that really at that time was to save myself. I really, really didn't think about the product or the direction of it. I just knew that I needed to identify who I was for my own mental health. So what's evolved in that time period is, yes, Greg, I did get all of my permanents. I do have an accountant who does all my finances. I do have a business plan. I do own inventory, and I do pay taxes. So in a short period of time, because I was able to use the skills that I had, and I'm passionate about it and remain focused on it. And I do also want to call out about what Victoria said about passion makes the impossible possible. I truly believe that 100%. And the other thing that I want to just mention, which kind of is what Greg and Victoria have noted, there's a lot of steps to creating a business and running a business. And be patient. Patience is really important. If you think about what Dan Parker talked about, he lost his vision in 2012. That was almost a decade ago. And so all of the stuff he was sharing has happened over the course of the decade. And so I just want to put that out there in terms of expectations and being kind to ourselves when we try to do stuff like this.
Awesome.
Very, very true. So Trisha, we have just a few questions here for you.
Sure.
The first one I want to ask you is, what has been your biggest challenge since you launched Blind Girl Design?
Interestingly, Greg, this is so funny. The biggest challenge for me was to identify the consumer, build product towards the consumer, and then actually create the actual business plan and actually set up the business as a real business. because you know what? I love fabric and fashion and graphics and designing and, you know, the business part of it, you know, if I was a larger company, I would have someone else do that part of the organization. But I'm a small startup, so I have to do it. Of course, I have to have an accountant, but all the background work and setting up everything, you know, I have to do that. And I don't like doing that. I know how to do it. So that's been my biggest challenge, is that's like where I make lists and I scratch off all the stuff I like. And then I do the stuff that, you know, has to be done. That really has been my biggest challenge, making it a whole business.
Awesome. Well, Trisha, since we brought up your challenges, I would love for you to share with us what has been your biggest accomplishment with Blind Girl Designs.
My biggest accomplishment is when you're talking about setting up a business, almost 50% of businesses go out of business in the first year. And we are thriving we are about 16 months right now, and we're thriving and growing. So a huge accomplishment is getting over that first mountain of that first year where you set up the business, and it's just a lot of work, or can be a lot or little depending on what your skill is, but a financial investment and not any return. And in my case, I started with cardigans and dresses, but now I sell them, but I have now developed this entire hoodie and t-shirt business where all the art has blind canes in it. And that is an enormous amount of my business. So being fluid and focused on what our consumer wants is a really great accomplishment, I think. And it's really something as a startup or independent business person, you have to really, really be aware of what your customer wants and go with it. Ask questions, find out what is the niche that they would really like to have. So I'd say that's my biggest accomplishments.
Okay, so what is your ongoing motivation that keeps you striving to achieve professional success?
I'm really passionate about this business. And of course, I knew that I had retinitis pigmentosa and might lose my business. But my motivation is that I'm not done and I don't have to give up and I don't have to step aside because of my vision. I have lots of workarounds. So my motivation, and the other thing is that what I have found is that there are expectations from the sighted community of what the limitations of a blind person are. And I would like to disabuse them of those notions and really, be a standout and have, my company is called Blind Girl Designs. Right off the bat, you're dealing with a blind girl. So for me, it's really important to be able to use my skills and be out there and talking about, that I am a whole person and I can do lots of stuff.
Okay. Do you have any tips or suggestions?
I know you shared a few in the beginning, but pardon, before we say goodbye and close, are there any words of wisdom?
Yeah, I think you guys really called out a lot of really good ones. I would say, be self-aware. What are you really good at? Is there a market for it? I'm going to take a little more of an analytical approach and say, do you need to have a team to do it? Like if you need social media, do you have to have somebody else do the social media because you're not really skilled at that? And really do some market research on your skill in terms of if it's baking, what's the best selling thing? Cookies, muffins, cakes, what's the retail value price of that? What's your cost of goods sold? Look at it not only start with your passion, but then, step back a little bit and do an analytical breakdown and figure out, can you actually make money doing this? I think that's a really important part of succeeding as an entrepreneur.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Trisha. You are awesome.
Thank
and
you.
Definitely inspiration for all of us. You have inspired me, and I'm sure everybody, and empowered. And you are definitely somebody that is showing us how to turn your passion into profit. And I want to be just like you when I grow up. So.
Thanks, Victoria and Greg, for inviting me.
You're welcome.
No problem. Thank you so much for all that you have done and what you are going to do. I would just suggest you get some more male stuff in there, but that's just my personal opinion. But thank you so much for taking your time out to speak with us today.
Of course. Thank you.
Oh,
so
and
now
don't
what we're
forget,
gonna,
I'm sorry, Greg, I just want to remind everybody before, at the end of our presentation, Trisha will be donating one of her blind girl hoodies. And so just stick around to the end and we'll have Trisha go ahead and be able to describe at that time, at that raffle, what her prize is going to be. Okay, sorry, Greg, go ahead.
well, fine, just take my thunder, why don't you? But like we said, thank you, Trisha, for your presentation. I hope you guys got as much information as we did from this, and we definitely appreciate her. We're gonna go ahead and go to the next step in our presentation, which is gonna be our building your own brand, BYOB. As our title for today has shown. So I'm going to go ahead now and turn this over to Victoria.
Okay, hi everybody again. So this one we're going to do, so like you said, this is the other BYOB. So it is be your own boss, as well as, build your own brand, because your brand is going to represent that boss that is in you and that you want to be. So it's so important because, people ask, what is your brand and why is it important, what it's for? Your brand is actually kind of what other people say about you when you're not in the room. Okay. It's what makes you unique. It's what makes you you. Okay. It's a representation of who you are as a person, not only professionally, but personally. Both of them are important. It's tied to your authenticity and the emotional connection you have with yourself, your career path, your passions, and all of that stuff. Okay. So one of the things that we're going to do is just give a few tips on how to build your own brand and why it is important. And with that, I will go ahead and turn that over to Chelsea for our tip number 1 for build your own brand.
Great. Thanks, Victoria. All right. So with that, our first tip is to first identify your brand, right? So earlier you want to identify your skills and your talents and your passions. Now you want to identify your type of brand, and that should be tied to your identity and depict an accurate representation of who you really are and what is your personality as personally as well as professionally. So if someone walks into your room and says your name, how do you respond? Is it in a good way or a bad way? They are saying that what reflects your brand and how you respond, right, in everything that we do. And since people will brand you anyway, you have to take control of your reputation by establishing the brand that you want people to associate with your name. So for me, for instance, for those who do know me, I tend to be very happy, bubbly, but I also like to stay very professional at most times when I'm, presenting, working with HAVIN, et cetera, et cetera. But then when we do things outside of work and I'm doing tours or audio describing things, I want to, make sure that I'm very easy to talk to, very fun. And that's another passion in my life where I love just, doing these events and stuff. So I want to make sure that people know that I'm very approachable and easy to talk to. So that's just an example on my part. Victoria?
Yeah. So the thing about identifying and creating your brand, it's more, I know it's difficult because it's hard for me to kind of talk about myself and kind of give myself the recognition that I need. And it's just difficult when we talk. I wish I could just say, Chelsea, can you build my brand for me, please? But she cannot, because only we can do that. So there's just a few things to consider before you start to even design or develop your brand. It's just, the qualities that make you unique. Those are some of the things. You can list 3 things out from that. Your areas of expertise, your important values, your passions and interests, adjectives to describe you, how you make an impact, what you want to do with your future, your goals. These are all things, if you comprise all of these things together, of course, to make them make sense in a sentence form, that can create and be a very positive brand that will have a lasting impression and make an impact for you in whatever representation you are going for. Okay. So we'll go into our next tip, and that's Chelsea. Can we go with our tip 2?
Sure. So our next tip is to leverage your personal and professional strengths, and we all have them. So what is the difference between a personal and a professional brand? Nothing really. Your personal brand is your professional brand because, that's who we are and what you should do and how to integrate it. So when you're creating a professional brand, don't just discount your personal attributes that make you unique. Organizations are always looking for individuals who fit into their company culture, and you should be looking for a company culture that will make you happy. So your personality and your social skills are as much a part of your professional brand as the school you attend and your work experience. So really, no matter how much we try to separate our personal and professional selves, it's really impossible to leave one identity completely at home or one at the office. Okay. And I'm pretty sure if I could hear you all agreeing, I would hear people say, yep, you're right. So when thinking about your professional brand, really, really leverage your professional attributes that really come naturally to you, because that'll make you unique and it will just be easy. And when you fully combine both of those aspects to your identity, it will really help you build your brand. It becomes a lot easier to remain authentic if you're not trying to make up things that, you really aren't, right? Okay. Victoria?
Thank you. So another thing, guys, for building our brand, improve your online presentation, okay? I don't know how many of you have ever Googled yourself. Just put your name in there. I hadn't did it. I recently did it because this question was posed to me. Have you ever Googled yourself? And I Googled myself, and some Facebook things came. Different things did pop up. But I was just thinking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, 15 years ago, if I would have Googled my stuff and Facebook would have come up, who knows what would have came up. And I was not paying attention to my online presence 15 years ago. Okay. Now, today, I realize how important it is, because even as a business owner, as a personal friend, anybody, an entrepreneur, a employer, even, first thing they do is research and look you up online, because online has such a strong impact in society today, right? That's just everywhere. And I'm talking Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, now we have Snapchat. There's just so many different things. So we need to really, improve and make sure that our online presence is how I want it to be. Now, if you're not focused on working or getting a job or any of that, that's okay too. But you still want to make sure that your online presence represents the you that you want it to represent. And so just pay attention to those and the postings, because let's say even as turning your passion into profit, you are coming to me because I'm asking you to make my child's birthday cake, and I'm going to pay you to do that. Well, guess what? I still am going to go and look online and check you out, And so if I go to your page and it's got all kinds of negativity and just, inappropriate things, well, I'm going to think twice and say, well, she does make good cakes, but do I really want to, do business with somebody that has such a negative online presence? Okay, so that's just a key tip about that, guys. It's just we want to make sure we pay attention and always try to keep a positive social presence. Okay.
That is so true and such a really good point, Victoria. Thank you. And, I have to say this as an employer and an entrepreneur for over 20 years, I do look at people's brand, no matter what kind of job I'm looking them to help me with, whether it's cutting my grass or, like you said, baking a cake, so, so with that, when you're on social media, whether that's your personal social media, out in public or on a professional social media, you are telling a story about yourself, whether you all realize it or not. And so the next tip is really to tell a good story about yourself when you're putting yourself out there. Once you've decided on your personal value proposition statement and you've stated establishing a brand, paint a clear picture on who you are as a person, an employer, as a colleague across all of your channels, platforms, whether you're in person, online, or whatever. So for example, from LinkedIn to your resume, your brand should always be consistent, right? Like the inconsistency, like Victoria was talking about, is like, they may have put out a professional image and a brand when they're talking about their, baking company, but then on their personal life, they're just a mess, right? So capitalize on the characteristics and your professional reputation when you're trying to promote and keep a consistent message through written communication as well. And that's something that people don't remember, even in corresponding with people, right? Even texting and talking, you really want to keep that communication consistent. Keep a standard professional headshot. And I really kind of want to emphasize on this. So we've actually done little things on this before in the past. When you're doing a headshot, taking an image of yourself, it's really nice to always be smiling, to give a nice little grin, look very friendly, have no clutter in the background. And it's just very simple. It's basically the top of your face and your shoulders, right? You don't have to have a full body shot because they really just want to see your visually face who they're working with on a headshot. A tagline that is short and sweet and to the point, and then share your professional value proposition again and a complete bio that you can use across your platforms on Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. And of course, when you're writing a bio for different things, just remember your target audience. If you're writing a bio to speak at, for a children's group or a youth group, that's going to be different than speaking to parents and adults or government officials, et cetera, et cetera. So keep in mind who your audience is when you're writing your bios. Now, as part of your brand, decide what stories you're going to tell about your career and your experiences, and make sure that you understand how each of these stories relates to your overall brand. So you really want to think about these stories as case studies, or use case studies of for your own brand, such as, a company serving car manufacturers might publish a success story about a customer in the industry to show the automated prospects why it's best, their product is the best, why their car is the best. And smart stories that reveal your professional brand will allow you to demonstrate your worth through your past experience. It makes you the expert, and that's what people are really looking for, right? So whether you're seeking a new job or establishing through thought leadership, these smart stories will really help you craft your unique personal and professional brand. And I'll kind of like close it up here that with creating a personal professional brand, it's not an overnight process, everyone. You really have to put a lot of thought into it, but it's important to at least get started now with your unique value proposition and work to communicate who you are and what you have to offer over time. The next time someone says your name, the response will instantly come to their head as a reflection of not only your image, and how you act, personally and professionally. But that's really, really important. So, and honestly, today with people's cell phones, everybody has a camera, everybody has pictures they can take. And so whenever you're not even thinking about it, people could be videotaping you and how you're acting and how you're behaving. And that can end up on social media.
Which, Chelsea, and that leads into our next, which is our Just for Success as well, because you have to be ready or anything with your dress, your attire, because those cameras are out there and you can be caught on camera at any time. So part of part of building a great brand is your dressing for success as well, because we always say when you look good, you feel good. And Chelsea, can you just briefly, because I know this is an important topic, and I know we don't have to, hammer in repeatedly because we all know what it is, but can you just share with us a few key points for dressing to success so that that can be incorporated in our building of our own brand and our best brand with our dressing for success?
Sure, definitely. Thank you so much. And as our previous speaker knows, Trisha knows that in the clothing industry, making clothes is really important as into what you're putting out there. So with that, there's basically 3 different types of attire that you can really think of when you're considering your brand. And it's totally okay, whichever you decide that to be. And the 3 main categories are going to be casual attire, like, hoodies and hats and baseball caps and tennis shoes. Obviously, if your brand is into, creating athletic wear, you're going to want to wear your casual athletic wear anytime that you're out representing your company. And baseball caps, if that's your thing, because you're promoting that, and that's important too, right? It's totally great to promote that casual wear. However, if your company is going to be somewhat more professional, let's just say, like for instance, teaching or doing, a piano teacher or, something like that, or somebody who does sells insurance because that's your passion, right? You're going to want to wear clothes that are probably more like business casual. And at times when necessary, it's going to be business professional. So what is business casual? Business casual is going to be more like your khaki pants, your polo shirts, short sleeve. For ladies, it's, summer dresses or dresses in general that are not too short. Things like that, and then it doesn't really require a tie. It doesn't require that stuffy suit and things, because you're going to be out in the field, you're going to be intermingling with people, but you definitely still want to have that professional look, right? It says about you that you're a person who, you want them to take you seriously, right? And that you have something important to share. Not that casual isn't unimportant, but that's just a different brand. Okay. Then we'll take it to the 3rd level when it comes to professional attire. And that's going to be oftentimes for men and women, wearing ties, bow ties, those are very popular right now. Full suits usually, and you really don't want to have suits or pantsuits or dress suits to be very loud in color. You're going to really want to, take that attention away from your clothing so much and have it really focus on your skills as a professional. And so darker colors would be more preferable, no loud prints, and even the same thing as on your ties and things like that. And for ladies on your, suits and pantsuits, you're going to want it to be more professional. Shoes, if you're going to be wearing heels, definitely don't wear 6-inch heels, because that gives a different, type of brand, right? And you don't, you want to look as more professional. So examples in professional attire for those of you who are, doing things more like legal consulting work. If you are a motivational speaker, and depending on what kind of motivational speaking you're talking about, you might really want to level it up and look extremely professional. In the work that Victoria, Greg, and I do, we all are talking about being professionals. So we obviously have to dress very professional in the work that we do in the consulting work. So, that in a nutshell, I would say is, a quick kind of recap about what would be casual, business casual, and professional for your brand. So thoroughly think through all those previous steps that we talked about, and then think, well, what would go best with being consistent, not only with your messaging and your words, but also the extension of how you share with the world, how you dress and how you represent your company. Now, finally, as we all know, and I know that we can't you know, if you could unmute and if you could say this and complete this sentence, maybe you can say it out loud in your own comfort of your own home. But, you know, a lot of us have heard this little saying, when you look good, you feel good, right? So,
Absolutely.
and so keep that in mind, you know, whatever makes you feel good in the way that you dress so that you can really represent the best self in your company. Making sure that you smell good, look good, not wearing too much cologne, because oftentimes these days, a lot of people have allergies. So to me, I would also say to the students that we teach on preparing for employment is, don't overdo it with the, you know, cologne and all that kind of stuff, because if people can smell you before you enter a room, that's not a good thing, right? And people have allergies and stuff, so just smell clean and fresh, right? Wonderful things that can also help you if you're blind or visually impaired with your attire and stuff, or lots of cool assistive technology apps. And we've covered it before in previous things, but Be My Eyes, when you have a volunteer help describe what you're wearing, is awesome, which, you know, and then things like, you know, IRA, having assistance with IRA, having apps that can identify color, and also having consultants like me who can actually look at your attire and say and give you advice as well. And then there's things for your grooming and hygiene accessories, like we've done in the past with HAVIN, hair cutting techniques and tools if you're blind or visually impaired to do your own grooming, if you should so choose, and beeping curling irons and all kinds of awesome things like that. Having things to label your clothing and read the labels out loud to you, you know, with iBug and with Stacy and Raul, those experts on assistive technology can also help share those kind of things, as well as myself. So reach out to you know, all the resources that you all have in the community, and know that there's a lot of things that we can all help you with your grooming, your hygiene, your attire, and all of that kind of things when you need to support on the outside, aside from just the technology on the websites and all that good stuff. So that's in a nutshell all I have to share, and then we're gonna hand it over to Victoria and Greg. Thank you, everybody.
Yes. Thank you, Chelsea, so much. Now, and you guys, this is, you know, hopefully, you know, you will get out of this how to build your best brand, build the brand that you want to, that's going to portray the best you. So thank you, Chelsea, for all of those tips. And now we will go ahead and open it up for any questions. If anybody has any questions about anything that has been said throughout this presentation. Okay.
Yeah, Alice has her
all
hand
right.
raised first.
Awesome. Alice?
Alice Lopez hand has been lowered. Stacy Guy.
Uh-oh. And then after Alice is Alyssa.
Hello?
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Alice.
Hi. I have a question. I don't know who to direct this to, but if you want to start your own nonprofit organization, kind of like the HAVIN, but for parents with disabilities to help their children with disabilities.
Yes.
How can you go by doing that, especially if you don't have a very big bank account?
Yes, so I will go ahead and address that, and would love to speak to you individually more about that as well, but it's definitely possible. And depending on the type of nonprofit you want to do, I started a nonprofit with absolutely no money. Basis and simply because it was more of a support group, it was more of us getting together and providing resources. So, you know, finances were not needed. Now, when you get into the different types of things that your nonprofit wants to provide and offer to others, there may come the need for that. But I would love to, Alice, meet with you if you would like. I can go over and discuss with you and help you to do a little action plan for your goals on how you can get your nonprofit started.
That'll be great. Mr. Ron Graham has my info. Hello, Ron. Good morning.
Okay, Alice, that's great. So I will be reaching out to you this week, and let's see what we got and how BPN and how we can get your nonprofit organization started. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Victoria, can I add
Yes.
this really quick?
Mhm.
For those of you also, along with the great services and help that BPN does, there's also a government assistance program called PTAC. It's called Procurement Technical Assistance Center, and it's totally free at charge. And they also help do workshops and counseling and all that too. So if you guys
Yes.
like, Victoria will have that information to share with you as well.
Yes, thank you so much. All right. Is there any more questions?
Alyssa.
And we
Okay.
probably have time for one more because of our next speaker.
Okay, the time, let's see, we're good on time. Yeah, it's 11. Okay, so we have a few more minutes. We just have the price. Alyssa, do you have a question you want to ask?
Elisa?
Yes, sorry, Elisa, yes.
Okay. So how did you both know what you wanted to do for your business or brand? Because I'm hopefully wanting to do my own business in the future.
Okay, and the same thing for you, Elise. I can help because what you have to do is basically you have to identify your passions, identify your interests, and then from that, doing what you love and the things that you love to do, that helps you out with that, with identifying your passions and your interests, and that can help you build your brand. And the same thing will go for you. If you would like, I can have our VPN, we can reach out to you and help you and to identify that and explore your brand a little bit more if you'd like. Okay.
That would be excellent, Miss Victoria.
Okay. Thank you. All right, guys. So,
question.
Okay.
This is Sailor.
Hi, Sailor.
Question. I hope I didn't interrupt. Sorry.
That's okay.
But yeah, those are very good points about starting a business because I wanna start a business myself, and what I want to do is I currently have an internet radio station that's on the air 24/7, and I basically hope to get sponsors and put ads on my station, but maybe making a nonprofit. And in fact, one of the people who's helping me do this is a good friend of mine. His name's Kevin. He's on this call now, if you're still on.
Okay.
He and a couple of colleagues are helping me and one of my friends do this. We're gonna hopefully get sponsors. Maybe we could get promoted and we could build a platform where people can come on our show and share stories of inspiration and overcoming adversity.
Right.
We may get our listeners to donate to nonprofits such as Goodwill, maybe blindness organizations.
Right.
And
So
Sailor, sorry to cut you off.
Sailor. Yeah, we're actually on time crunch here.
Could you give us any tips on what we could do?
Well,
Yeah,
Sailor, I'll reach out to you this week on as far as what you can do to get that running. We don't have time to go over it right now, but I will reach out to you this week to do that.
But you guys, everybody here is going to be an exhibitor. So if you guys have personal questions, please join us in our exhibit sessions. And you guys can ask us as many questions as you need for 2 hours.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Chelsea. So join us there at 1 to 3. So right now, guys, we had a great presentation, but our time is limited and I definitely want to give out our door prizes. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. So, Greg,
let's give away the hoodie first.
I knew you were going to say that. Okay. Trisha, are you here? Can we?
I'm here.
There you go. Okay. Trish, should I say who won it first and then you can explain what the prize is?
Sure.
Okay, so let's do, I have my handy dandy Echo Alexa here. Oh, sorry. Okay, cancel. Let's start over. Echo. Oh, sorry. Wait a minute. Chelsea, how many people are
52.
participants?
We
Thank
Not
you.
include,
no,
not in,
actually,
yeah,
okay, 52. Yeah, not including
yeah,
Haven.
right.
Okay. Yep. So just keep up. So Echo, give me a number between 1 and 52.
Here's a number between 1 and 52. It's 1.
Oh my gosh.
First person at the top.
It's 1. Oh, that's rare.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
minus Haven members. I know we're probably all at the top. So who's that one, Chelsea?
Number
Okay.
ending in
And we're not,
665.
we're also not including speakers, correct?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
Right.
Number ending in
Yeah.
665.
Okay. Who is Chris?
No, 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 no.
No, Chris is
Yeah.
also a speaker. Okay. Sorry.
Well,
Okay.
it's the first,
No.
it's the number ending in
Yeah. I
665.
just that's what. Yeah. That's
Okay.
why.
So it is going to be Tricia. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That's not it.
The
That's not
number.
it. Yeah.
The phone
okay.
number.
So it's Alice
Oh,
Lopez.
they raised their
Oh,
hand.
there it is.
No.
There
Nope.
it
They
is.
raised their hand.
Oh, did
They
they?
raised their hand.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the
So,
telephone number, Chelsea.
Who is that
It's
person?
the telephone number. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Who is that person there?
Ending in 665, I believe. Yep. Ending in
Right.
665. So I don't know
If
the
you can,
name.
can
There's
you
no
unmute
name.
665?
They are unmuted, but they're not speaking.
Okay. Do I hear somebody?
Oh, you're really,
They're
really
trying
low.
to
I
say
can
something.
hear you, but you're really, really low.
Okay. So
So I have their
congratulations. They
number.
are
Yep.
there. Yeah. So we'll if you could just hold on there and we will do. Trisha, what did they win, Trisha?
A hoodie that can be any color. We carry a wide range of colors, black, gray, pink, depending on
Yay.
what you like. Any size from size small to size 5XL. And the graphic says "We see with our hearts," and it has a white cane going down the middle of the graphic.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Now let's
And
do
I
our
think we
next.
do have that person really quick. I think they was asking, can we hear them? Oh,
We'll
guess
reach
not.
out to,
Okay.
yeah, we'll reach out to them separately. We have the number, right? So,
Yep.
and then we're gonna pick the next one. And so guys, just learn for my team, Chelsea, you will be the only one that will call out the winner. Okay,
Correct.
so we just based on your, okay, so let's just let you, so you ready for the next one, everybody? And this is going to be the $25 gift certificate from BPN. Echo. A number between 1 and 52.
Here's a number between 1 and 52. It's 14.
Ooh, 14, Chelsea. Who do we have for 14?
Okay, so according to my thing right here, it's Dan Teveldeli.
Yes, hi Dan. Dan, are you? I know I can't pronounce that last name, but I actually spoke to Dan. Dan, are you there? Can you unmute?
I think I'm unmuted.
There you are. Congratulations. Isn't that funny? You emailed me and asked me if we were still having this event, and now you won a prize. So congratulations to you, Dan.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And everybody that wins a prize, we will be getting, back to you. So don't worry, we will connect with you. Our last but not least prize is going to be from Chelsea Quinn with CN Vision Image Consulting. It is a free 1-hour consultation, including a $25 gift card to Amazon, and a $25 Amazon gift card. So this is the last one. And let's go ahead and Echo. Pick a number between 1 and 52.
Here's a number between 1 and 52. It's 14.
Oh my God, really?
Oh no,
So we're not going to do that one again. So
No.
Echo, pick a number between 1 and 52.
Here's a number between 1 and 52. It's 13.
Oh gosh, 13. So there you go. This is 13. All right. So who was that one before? Go ahead, Chelsea. Who was that?
Okay, we have a Kathy Pratt.
Kathy Pratt. Kathy Pratt. Kathy, are you here with us?
She's
Kathy.
muted.
Well, we know you're here, Kathy. We
And
just
then
want
reach
to,
out.
if you could rate, oh,
I'm
there
here.
she is. So congratulations to you, Kathy. And we will be reaching out to you with your prizes. And that goes for everybody. You guys will all be contacted. And that's a wrap up. And we are at perfect time, you guys.
So hello,
Yes.
Victoria, Greg, and Chelsea. This is 665. We got
Oh my God, Michael
Yep,
Garrett.
this is
Get off the
him.
phone.
Michael Garrett? Okay,
Yeah,
we have
that's
to
Michael
redo
Garrett.
that one. We have to redo that.
Right.
Oh, no, we don't. He's not
No,
Haven.
no, we
No,
do
he's
not.
not. We don't have to
No.
redo it. Yeah.
No.
But
Okay.
I agree with you, Chelsea. We should redo it just because it's
No,
Michael Garrett. No, just kidding.
we are
Just
not
kidding.
going to
No, we
redo
don't.
it. So yeah, so Michael, hi, Mr. Michael, and congratulations. So we will definitely get that out to you.
Trying to unmute.
I know. So well, we got you. So great, and congratulations. Okay, guys.
All right.
So we are at the end. Thank you guys all for sticking with us throughout our whole presentation, and thank you, Greg and Chelsea, for your assistance with this. And if anybody wants to contact us or speak to us more, 1 to 3 exhibit hall. Each of us will be in the exhibit rooms and so forth. So just please feel free. And even if you don't want to talk to us, please join us for our exhibit halls, because there's so many other resources that are going to be in there as well. So thank you guys all very much. And Ron, we'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all. Y'all did a great, thorough job here, and really exemplify so many points of what it takes to be your own boss. And I think if everybody will pay attention, there's a theme that I've heard that's come up, and y'all have emphasized it. Trisha emphasized it, Dan emphasized it, and I believe Naomi as well. It's getting that team around you, because so much of our success relies on those around us. So thank you all for bringing everything you brought today. So you're rock stars. So we're going to keep on rocking, and we're going to move into a musical presentation, and Dr. Modi will introduce this. And after this, after she finishes, Chris, you will need to cue that up. So Dr. Modi.
Sure. We are shifting gears, just like Ron had mentioned, and I'm going to introduce DeAndre Gosi, who is an award-winning multi-instrumentalist and R&B soul vocalist from Houston, and a member of the HAVIN affiliate, Visually Impaired Advocates. He has released a commercial CD.
Stacy, yeah, Kathy likes to use a rolling pin.
So,
too, as a.
I think Stacy is unmuted. Someone's unmuted.
Someone's unmuted. There we go. All right. So let's go back to DeAndre Gosi. He has released a commercial CD and has his own YouTube channel. He's also the brother of HAVIN representative Terrence Gosi.
Split screen share. Pause share left. Desktop folder. Type. Top. Task view. Windows Media Player. Dash. Windows Media Player. Next button. Play button. Pause button. The account owner can also watch this record. *050 has left the meeting. Arin Daines has left the meeting.
All right, and that was a reprise of Oh Canada. And speaking of Canada, Chris, can you cue up DeAndre Gosi's musical presentation now? Okay. So while he is doing this, I just want to say I'm really excited because the musical selection that DeAndre has recorded for us is a very specific work that speaks to the theme of be your own boss. And it's about taking charge of your life. So how we doing there, Chris? You got that queued up? Okay. And while Chris is still working on this, I'm going to go ahead. We've got a door prize, and DeAndre is a member of the Visually Impaired Advocates. And Mindy, we have a door prize from VIA.
Yes, we do. It's
cash prize.
$25 cash from the Visually Impaired Advocates, or better known as VIA. This name I'll probably not pronounce correctly. I'm going to try my best, and then I'm going to spell it. Kenneth Simon Sr. Last name is spelled Semien. Senior. Simeon. I'm so sorry.
He's from Beaumont. Kenneth, are you here? Can you raise your hand? Can we get Kenneth unmuted?
He is here.
Kenneth is here.
Yes.
I knew he came in earlier.
All right. Well, congratulations.
So congratulations, Kenneth. We're glad you're here with us again today. Chris, how are you coming on getting that video queued up here, that audio? We have connection problems to the Great White North here.
Ron, this is Sarah.
Yes, ma'am.
If so, why don't we do our portion, and then we can obviously allow him that time, and we'll shorten our portion to allow him to play it before we do the closeout. How about that?
We are good. We're actually early if we start now. Let's go ahead.
Yeah.
And Dr. Modi, if you'd like to go ahead and introduce our. Okay. Well, hang on. Here we go.
Okay.
Yet you have everything anyone ever asked for. How did you get here? I'm dying to know. 'Cause they tried to block me, they tried to stop me, but I had to make it anyway. Through adversity, down disbelief.
More voting has left the meeting.
Don't count me out. No, don't count me out. Sure wouldn't be nothing. Look at me now. Don't count me out. No, don't count me out. Sure wouldn't be nothing. Look at me now. Woo. Gotta keep on moving. I think I want to play a little bit.
Jose Marcus has left the meeting.
Trey, how do you always win? Whatever it takes, you never give in. Woo, keeping your head up high, in spite of how bad it seems. You're steady rising to be all you can be. They tried to stop me, and they tried to block me, but I
star star 811 has left the meeting.
me out. No, don't count me out. Said it wouldn't be nothing. 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 Said I wouldn't be nothing. Just look at me
Woo, man, I think my computer just overheated. That was hot. Thank you, DeAndre Gosey. The man's very talented, and I'm just glad that he offered to share his talents with us for this. And I appreciate him representing VIA so well and representing Houston. For what it's worth, if y'all are interested in hearing more from DeAndre, he has a YouTube channel under his middle name, Gerard Gosey. And if you search for Gerard Gosey YouTube, you should find his page. And I certainly appreciate him sharing that. And we will move forward with our final presentation, and I will let Dr. Modi introduce this. Thank y'all.
So I did mean to mention this earlier, but in the program are all of the expanded bios for all of our presenters today. But I think that was, everything has been so wonderful up to, so wonderful so far. So in our final workshop, HAVIN representative Sarah Freeman Smith will interview John Bramblett. John Bramblett didn't begin to paint until after becoming blind just over 20 years ago, and this has led to remarkable results. He has worked with celebrities such as Tony Hawk, Jeff Bridges, and Lyle Lovett, among others. In 2017, John partnered with Delta to paint a Boeing 737 promoting the Rock in Rio concert. John has received 3 Presidential Service Awards for his innovative multi-sensory art workshops and has been named a cultural ambassador to the U.S. Sarah,
Great.
I'll let you take us from here.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Modi. Good morning, everyone. And good morning, John. I have not met you personally, but we've shared some emails, and I am extremely excited about this opportunity to speak with you and share some more information with our audience here this morning. First and foremost, I'd like to allow you maybe just a few minutes to share anything that we didn't cover in the bio that is just pressing that you want us to know. If not, you know, I'm going to jump off into our questions.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me here. I've been looking forward to this. This is brilliant. And the music just a minute ago, that was so, it was incredible. I'm in my art studio, and whenever I paint, I listen to music, and that's just inspiring. I want to listen to that later. I'm gonna check out his YouTube channel.
Video. Yeah, absolutely.
But no, I'm just really excited to be here, and ask anything you want.
Okay, great. Well, then let's get started. First of all, when you read his extended bio, I am proud to let you guys know he is a Texan. He lives up just a ways north of us in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Denton. Is that correct?
Yes, it sure is.
Okay,
I was born in El Paso and raised in the Dallas area, and
okay, all right.
been here my whole life.
Okay, great. Well, I think first and foremost, painting obviously poses so many challenges for someone that is blind or visually impaired. What I'd like to learn most importantly is what's your vision acuity? In other words, are you total blind? Do you have some peripheral, et cetera? And then in your bio, you shared that with your loss due to some seizures, some medical seizures, it led to your blindness. What prompted you to begin to paint? Was it something that you had painted before? Had you take art classes, or just what was that impetus that caused you to pick up a paintbrush?
Oh my goodness, for my vision, I have light perception, and very often light hurts my eyes, especially fluorescent light. For some reason, fluorescent light, I don't know, it gives me headaches, and
Yeah.
I just get, so I usually wear sunglasses. But it was where the optic nerve is going into the occipital lobe. That sort of area of the brain, I guess, is what was damaged the most. So I have light perception, but it doesn't make color or form or shape or anything. But the light perception itself helps, because I don't know, it helps me stay upright more. I don't know. I know if the lights go completely off, I tend to tilt over a little.
Right.
So that helps. And but growing up though, I had a lot of health problems. I was born with that epilepsy, and it developed into severe epilepsy. I had some kidney problems, had a kidney removed by the time I was 7, and then ended up getting Lyme's disease later on. And it was the interaction of the Lyme's disease that was undiagnosed for years and years in the epilepsy that led to the vision loss. And I can get into that as much as you want, or as little as,
No, that's enough. So a lot of the viewers, a lot of the audience, just so that they know, because we have obviously a wide range of vision within the visually impaired and blind community. So that just kind of gives them a feel. So that definitely helps us. So what led you, did you have some art classes before, or always had a desire to paint? What led you to decide after, as we all experience when we have some vision and lose it, go through a period of, depression? What led you to decide to paint?
I didn't paint until I lost my eyesight, but I drew all my life. I think I could draw before I could walk. Like, for some reason that just made sense to my brain. My brain's kind of broken or something. And drawing was my way of understanding the world. And so I'm a huge nerd. And so I took every kind of lesson I could growing up. I learned every kind of drawing that I could, if it was cartooning or anime or drawing. I'm learning how to use charcoal to do like a portrait of a person, all the way up to learning how to do the blueprints for a house. I could draw out blueprints, and so any kind of drawing I was really drawn to, ironically, but it's a pun, but I never thought I would be a good painter, and I didn't have courage to try something I didn't think I'd be good at. But I revered painters. I thought painters were amazing, but it wasn't until I was in college and I lost my eyesight that pushed me into painting, and not at first, because this was over 20 years ago. And the idea of a non-visual visual artist wasn't really an idea too much. It wasn't the idea of blind painters. And but art had always been my way of dealing with problems, depression, anger. I was in and out of hospitals a lot as a kid, and if I was having a bad day, art was my way of dealing with it, and it worked great. It takes you out of your everything.
Form of expression. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And if it's a good day, art's a great way to celebrate a good day. So whenever I was in college and my eyesight left, I was so angry and I was so depressed. I didn't even realize how angry and depressed I was. I was more angry and depressed than I'd ever been in my life, and I went off the charts. I didn't even realize. But I was doing everything that I was supposed to. I was really fortunate in that I was at a university that had a very strong Office of Disability program, because I thought I had to leave school. I thought everything was over. I had lost all hope. But they were like, no, John, you don't have to leave school. Like, there's all these accommodations, there's adaptations, there's all these things. You can do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want. And I thought they were so nice to lie to me just to make me feel better. I thought they were just being really sweet, but they weren't. They were just saying the way it was. But I didn't believe in myself at that time. I thought everything was over, but I was so fortunate to have these people that believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. And so I started learning how to do all these different things, like screen readers. And like a minute ago, when the jaws went off, like when we were loading the music, I thought my computer was going crazy. I'm like, oh no, what's going on?
Right.
And then learning Braille, learning how to do everything in new ways. And and I think of course, most people that lose their eyesight, it's a very depressing, it can be very challenging, scary time.
Absolutely.
There's so much to learn. Leaving your apartment, leaving your house becomes, it's an adventure. You always, you're always running into things, and you've got to learn different methods to be able to eat or be able to cook. There's so many hot, pokey, sharp things in the kitchen. And it just seems like everything. Like, oh my goodness! And I'm still going to school, but I was functionally illiterate because I didn't know how to use Braille screen readers yet. So I was getting incompletes, and I would have someone that would help me get to classes. And my school was so great that they let me go to classes and then do the work later. Once I was able to catch up on, Braille, and really the screen readers are huge for me. But the big thing was the orientation and mobility training, the O&M, learning how to get around independently. And after about a year of O&M, and I practiced a lot, but I was able to leave my apartment. I lived really close to campus. I only had one road where I really needed to cross, but to me it was like, oh my goodness, I was sweat.
That was a major one. Yep.
Oh my word. At the time, but I learned how to get from my apartment and get to the campus and find the right classroom, and then find the right desk in the right classroom. And once I could do that, I started thinking like, well, good grief, if I can use my sense of touch and my other senses to do the work that my eyes used to do and be able to navigate a city, surely you can navigate something much smaller like a canvas if you just use the same techniques. So I started taking all the art lessons that I had taken when I was sighted, and then combining that with O&M. So just using the O&M to be able to touch and feel my way around a canvas, but using paint as a way of drawing lines that I can touch and feel, mixing colors so that every color feels different, and using Braille on my tubes of paint so I can just read, what color it is. But then mix different mediums in the paint so that I can make white feel like toothpaste or make black feel like oil. That way, when you touch them, they're very different. So I just started playing around with this, and I honestly, I thought I was crazy. I thought I lost my mind, and because the idea of blind painter wasn't really out there.
Right.
And so I didn't really tell people that I was doing it. Of course, my friends found out pretty quick, because oil paint doesn't wash off that easy. So I would have paint on me, and I had a little white dog at the time, and I'd wash my hands. I would think my hands were clean, and my little dog Ann would come over, and I'd give her lots of love. And then, so she ended up being like blue and purple and green and all these different colors.
Got it. Awesome. Well, that is so inspiring. And again, another example of teamwork and being able to rely on others around you to
that's so important,
to be support. Yeah, it absolutely is. So John, tell me, what did you find, what surface was your greatest challenge to paint, and why?
I started doing murals maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe 7. I'm terrible with time, but I was contacted. There was this international film team that wanted to do something for World Sight Day. And they just wanted to do something special. And so they got a hold of me and said, hey, John, can you paint a mural? And on the phone, I was like, yeah, heck yeah, I can paint a mural. Let's do that. And then I got off the phone. I thought, what in the world am I doing? I don't know how to paint a mural. And because but the way that I paint is through touch. So I use lines I can touch and feel. But I do a lot of workshops. I work with museums all over the country. I work with the Met, the Guggenheim, the Dallas Museum of Art, all over the place. And I do workshops a lot with children that are both have disabilities and don't have disabilities. But I'm always telling the kids, you've got to push yourself out of your comfort zone. You got to be willing to fail a little bit. So whenever they called and said, can you do this? I thought, well, this is definitely outside of my comfort zone. So I'll give it a try. And we decided to do the mural in New York. So we flew up there, and I worked on for a few weeks on techniques that would allow me to be able to draw a painting on the wall, to be able to touch and feel it, and just work out a whole system. And that worked. And it was like, oh my goodness. And it was during that mural that I found out that I was the world's first blind muralist. I didn't realize it at the time. And I just thought it sounded like fun. And I didn't realize it was like,
absolutely,
as far as I know, I think I'm still the only blind muralist in the world. And, I'm ready to not be the only blind muralist. I'm ready for other people to join the club. That'll be great.
Right. Okay. More room
one day there will
on the
be.
bench.
We'll be a whole bunch of us, and that'll be awesome. Maybe we'll work on a giant mural together. But
absolutely great.
And then from that, I started doing like some 4-story murals in Dallas, and I did the 737. I worked on that project. But the mural is probably the hardest surface, because it took a lot of learning, and I didn't know if I would be able to do it.
Wow. A mural. And now this is actually a building wall, or was it inside or outside?
It was outside. It was a building in New York, and we did that. And then I've done a couple 4-story murals in Dallas. I'm about to do a mural inside a children's hospital I've done maybe 15 murals now, and
Mhm. Oh my gosh. Wow.
and I just did one for a town called Fate, where I did an 80-foot mural. It's a lot of the murals I do are pretty large, so I have to be in a lift, and which is a lot of fun because my wife, she'll operate the lift, and we'll have a little radio, and I'll have a canvas of the painting that I'm going to do up in the box with me, and I can radio down to her and say, hey, can you get me over by like the third tree from the left, and she'll drive the lift up there, and she'll put me there, and then I can fill the wall and fill all the paint that I'm putting on there and stuff. So,
Oh my gosh. Oh my
but
gosh.
that makes it fun to be able to do it with her.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Very, very daunting. So the 737, how long did that take you to do that?
I was so lucky because originally they wanted me to paint on the plane, but it turns out that that's illegal. Like the FAA saying, because planes apparently go really fast and really high, and the paint will rip off.
Okay.
So instead, what I did a really large canvas, and that canvas is hanging in the Aircraft Museum in Atlanta. But so we did skin wraps on the plane, and I'm so glad that I didn't have to paint the plane by hand, because it took 19 people 2 weeks to do the wraps on the plane to get the painting around it. So if I'd been doing it by hand, I think I'd still be there. So thank goodness it worked out like that.
Yep. And who knew it's illegal to paint the exterior of a plane? Oh my gosh, but that does make sense. That does make sense. Yeah. Well, listen, John, you mentioned when you were talking that you do workshops. How can we take some of your interactive workshops? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Most of the workshops that I do, like a school will have me in, and my workshops are free. Like, they're free to the public. Art came to me at a time when, honestly, it probably shouldn't have. I mean, it was the craziest thing. There wasn't people who were visually impaired painting that much then. And there was a guy in Turkey I know. So, but other than that, I don't really know of anybody. But I'm old. I've been doing this a while. And but with the workshops, I generally work with museums or schools, so they'll bring me in. I'm about to open a gallery and a studio space that I've been wanting to open for about 3 years, and COVID hit. But I want it to be a place where anybody can come into, and they can paint, they can do whatever they want. It's free. So I'm about to do that, but I'm not sure the location yet. So we're just looking for that. But really though, most of the times I work with museums and schools. But I also, every Tuesday night, I stream live on Facebook. And I'm painting on there, and that's a really great time if somebody's getting into art, or if they want to ask questions, or what kind of mediums, or any kind of questions they want to ask. I walk people through that all the time on Tuesday, and it's just Tuesday at 8 Central Time, and there's no production value. It's really, there's no, it's just me like sitting here, and my wife's over there, and we chat, and we play games, and I give away art too. A lot of times I'll give away a print, and
oh, wow. Okay, great. And that's on Facebook Live, and they can access that through your website, your Facebook page.
Yeah. If you just put in my name, Bramblett, and it'll pop up, and then you'll see my ugly mug, or you'll hear my crazy voice.
Wow. Great. And now, when you do them at museums and schools, are these via Zoom, or now that we're out of the COVID kind of, confinement, would they be interactive, like a face-to-face, or is that an option? Is it all?
Yeah. I mean, it's so wonderful that things are being lifted now. And then, it's usually face to face. So, during COVID, I started doing a lot of them over Zoom. And I thought when COVID happened, I thought, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to do the workshops, because I just love them. And I said, they're free for everybody to take them, but it's like icing on the cake for me. I started painting to connect with people. So actually being able to be with people and paint with people is brilliant. It's just, I love it.
I know.
And I thought during COVID, I thought, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to do this. And I actually did more because it's so easy to Zoom. But now that we're back where we're doing it in schools, we're I'm able to actually get in there and get hands-on, which is so great. Like I just did I guess a few days ago, I did a Region 8 here in Texas. So for the education, where they can bring all the kids in. So that was.
Yep, I think that's great, and that's great information. And I hope some of the participants here will share that with some of their local school districts and museums to reach out and make contact. Because again, opening it up to not only visually impaired, students, but any student, just as something to show, this is what you can do when you believe enough in yourself. And
Absolutely. You know, and if I could add one thing too,
sure,
is that these workshops, like the painting, it's a great way to express yourself. It's a great way to deal with emotions, and but also the way that I paint is O&M basically. It's white cane training on a canvas. So the more that someone paints, the better your O&M skills get. And you know, so it's easier to orient yourself. It's easier to make mental maps, to be able to navigate a room, to navigate, you know, all this sort of stuff. So we're starting to teach children who are in schools for the blind, and they're starting to learn how to paint, because it's just an amazing way to teach them O&M. And it's great because it's stress-free and you're not getting bumps and bruises, you know, unless you're a really, really bad painter, you're not usually getting bumps and bruises. But and that's brilliant. And then I do the workshop where for people, for children and adults who don't have a visual disability, and I'll put blindfolds on them, and I'll show them how to paint without vision. And that just gives them a lot of disability awareness. It opens up their mind to what art is, but also what visual impairment is and what it's not, you know, because most people know about visual impairment from TV and movies, which isn't the best place necessarily to get your information. You know?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm going to wrap this up with just a couple of quick questions, and then we're going to hopefully have time for individuals to ask you some questions. Any big upcoming projects that you're working on right now that you want to share with us?
You know, I'm hoping to get that studio gallery open, and I've got several shows that are coming. I'm going to be doing a show in Central Park in New York, and I think I'm going to be doing a portrait of the mayor. So he's a person with a disability, and is doing a lot for disability advocacy up there. So so I'm hoping to do some work with them, and just do a show in Central Park would be a lot of fun. You know, it'll
Central Park in New York.
Yes. And then,
oh wow.
So
you said, oh, and the mayor has a disability.
Yeah. Get the mayor of New York, and so we're putting that together where I can do a painting of him, and then we'll work all that sort of fun stuff out, and then I have some other shows. I'm doing some shows in Kansas and doing some things, and you know, and usually I usually come down for the Houston Art Festival, like the BYOB Festival.
Oh yeah, right.
I love that. Oh my goodness, it's one of my favorite.
Oh,
I'm not sure if I'm going to be there in the fall, but because I can't even remember dates or what I'm doing, but I'm hoping to. I love that. I love coming down to Houston, and I've made so many friends down there, and it's just it's brilliant. So when I go down there, I feel like I'm going home.
Wow, great. Well, we definitely look for you if you can do that. We certainly will. And then lastly, any quick advice that you would advise anyone who's listening to, if they want to start an art career, what would be your number one tip?
You know, just get busy, and don't judge yourself. Like give yourself room to fail a little bit. You know, you know, like if you're not failing enough, then you're probably not trying enough new things. And you know, and you need to, you know, before you become successful at something, you know, you've got to be bad at it for a while. You know, so let yourself be bad at it. And like for me, like I'm constantly like I'm still don't feel like I'm good at it. You know, I feel like I'm just starting. Right. Like, you know, you're always learning new things, and then you look at what you did 5 years ago and you go like, oh my gosh, I've grown since then.
Always,
but
always
to be kind to yourself.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yes. And we do tend to judge ourselves so quickly. So that's great advice. Well, I think we've got a few minutes. If anyone would like to ask some questions, we will open it up if you will raise your hand. And also, I want to share that we really appreciate John taking the time to speak with us. And he has so graciously also donated one of his paintings as a door prize. So how cool is that? So when we finish up, hang around for that door prize.
Oh. Yeah, and the painting is whatever you want. So you can choose whatever one you want. If you go on our website, and I'll send it to you, and anything you want.
Oh, that's awesome. Absolutely awesome.
We have Naomi, Alice, and Camille.
Okay.
And Chelsea. So go ahead, Naomi.
Hi there, John. It's Naomi. Thanks so much for joining us again. I had more of like a technical question. My brother is also an artist and paints murals, and he actually started out as a graffiti artist. He uses a lot of different mediums and all that wonderful stuff. But he is sighted. So, and I'm always in awe of the pieces that he creates. So I am fascinated by you as an artist. Well done. Well done. How long on average does it take you to complete a painting?
Naomi, thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate that. And now it usually takes me about 2 to 3 days, maybe a week for a big painting. When I first started, it would take me a month to do a painting. And I would paint 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Oh, wow.
And it would take me a month, but it's just like anything, you know, you get better at it and faster. And then over the years, I've learned better techniques that actually work better for touch, you know. So at first I was trying to do it the old way when I was sighted, and then, you know, and you learn how to adapt, you learn how to change things. And students, I've taught hundreds of visually impaired people how to paint. And for them, it doesn't take years to learn, you know, it's so, but it's much faster for me now, but usually 2 or 3 days. But if it takes longer, that's okay. If it takes a long time to do a painting, that's all right. Because once you're done, it's done forever. So
thank you.
Thanks so much for the question.
Next is Alice.
Hi. Can you hear me? Hi. I am visually impaired. I do have some vision, and I'm trying not to rely on my vision because it always fails me. But I used to draw a lot. In fact, I drew my sister on canvas at one point, and I did a whole bunch of other stuff. And now that I'm losing my vision and I can't tell colors and whatnot, I'm not drawing. I mean, you know, I can't draw anymore, and it always comes out wrong. I end up putting the mouth where the ears should go, and you know, how do you do that?
That's a great question. You know, it takes some practice. I know that whenever I was sighted, I could do a portrait of a person, and it was, you know, and have all this detail. And then whenever I started to relearn how to draw again, it was very geometric, you know, and actually I started with shapes, you know, and I just started kind of from the beginning, but it was much quicker to learn because my brain still knew how to draw, my hands did, but that connection, the eyesight was lost. So just learning to be able to touch and visualize. But the way that I draw, though, is using lines that I can touch and feel. So I use paint that I can touch and feel, but also there's other artists who will use different ways. Like if you have a foam sheet, you can like etch into it and you can feel those grooves. The only bad thing is that you can't erase those lines. So if you make a line that you don't like, it's going to be in that foam sheet, you know, forever. But I use lines that actually I can touch and feel. And at first they had to be giant, thick lines, and my drawings would have to be really, really big. But over time, though, you know, as my sense of touch got better, kind of like when I first started learning how to read Braille, I thought there was no way I was going to learn how to read Braille because all the dots were so close together. I thought, oh my goodness, I must have some sort of Braille impairment because I don't even see how anybody does this. But after a while, they start to open up, you know, and you can feel it, you know, slowly but surely. And it's the same way with the drawing. I started with giant, thick lines that I would use puffy paint and different paints and different paints I would mix. But then over time, though, I can make it thinner and thinner and thinner. And now one of my favorite lines to draw is just this paint that I mix up. It almost feels like rubber cement, but it's really, really thin. It's just kind of tacky. And I'll put it on a canvas that's really slick, so I can feel these lines. But I'm so used to touching and feeling them.
Right.
But the main thing I guess I'm saying is that there's many, many different ways to do it. Also, you know, if you want, like, if you would like me to show you how to do it, like if you ever, I don't know if you're on Facebook or if you're on YouTube.
No, I'm not on Facebook or YouTube. I'm not on any of that.
Okay. Well, if you have a friend that is, but on Tuesday nights at 8, I can actually like show you, you know, like I can get all the materials out and show you like, hey, here's this, here's that, you know, and it's every Tuesday at 8. So if you ever have a friend that's on Facebook and y'all just want to like tune in, you can ask any questions and I can actually show you the stuff and the, like, you know, hold it up and say, oh, you know, if you get this one, this does this, you know, if that would help. But
well,
there's so many different options.
I would definitely try to look for you on YouTube. I can figure that one out, but Facebook, I don't have Facebook. But yeah, I would love to talk to you more about that. But you know, my pads don't work. I cannot even read Braille. I am illiterate. But yeah, I love to, you know, talk to you more about that if I can. That'll be great.
Yeah, and there's other things you can do too. There's different types of art where, I mean, where you can, yeah, there's so many options. There's just so much out there. And that's the main thing that I think I learned was that every artist, no matter if you're sighted, if you're not, everybody finds their own way to create. You know, every painter, whether they're sighted or not, has their own system. They have their own ideas, their own way of working with the materials. So, you know, we just find the way that works for ourselves. And if I could be of any help helping you find your way, I would love to.
Well, John, thank you so much. I really want to interject at this point. I know we've probably got a couple more hands, but we are time sensitive.
Sarah, let's go ahead. We've got two more hands raised. Camille
Okay.
and then Chelsea. Let's go with that.
And if you guys could quickly get those questions in, because yes, this is fantastic. Thank you so much, John.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I'll try to answer a little quicker. I know I tend to.
That's okay.
You're good.
You're good. Go.
Hi, John. Can you hear me?
Oh, I sure can.
Oh, okay. Hi. My name's Camille Wagner, and I have been losing my vision progressively since. Well, I had optic neuritis in 2015, and then 2019. I was diagnosed with neuromyelitis optica, and it's really been in the last year that my vision, I can still see some in central located, but peripheral is gone, and I can still see light and I can still see some colors. But I have always, I've always drawn since I was a kid and painted, and when I was in the hospital a couple of years ago, I started to try to do watercolor and paint and to see. And so as things have gone progressively darker, maybe is that the word? I'm listening to you, and I'm so amazed at hearing how you can feel the colors. And so I was wondering, do you use paintbrushes? Do you use your fingers? And how do you know when you're drawing or you're painting? How do you know when it's done? If you can't, I mean, I'm having trouble knowing when to stop and by over painting. I use acrylics and watercolor, but I'm struggling too.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, I do use brushes. When I first started, I used a size 0 brush because I couldn't tell if there was paint on the end of the brush or not. So it was all these little tiny brush strokes, you know, that I would put in over the years, you know, because I paint every day, and I usually paint 8-10 hours a day because I'm a little obsessed with art. But you know, but over time though, you know what the brush feels like when it has paint on it or doesn't. You know, it's you know, you just kind of get that sense of feel. But the way that I paint though is I work the painting out in my mind first. So I know, because I know there's certain steps I need to take, you know, because I know there's going to be areas that the paint's wet. So I can't touch that. I got to wait for it to dry a little bit before I can go back and touch it and make sure I did what I think I did. But a lot of times I'll paint in many layers, because so like I'll cover an area, then I'll go back in and I'll fill it and I'll cover it again. And I draw with lines that I can touch and feel. So if I get outside of the line, that's what white paint was invented for. You know, I correct it and I try it again, and then I make a mistake. Oh, okay, I correct it. I draw again. You know, and just keep going until you finally get it right. And generally, because I work a painting out in my mind first, I have all these steps that I know I need to do. Like I'll draw the lines. I'll draw in areas where I know, you know, when I'm doing this, doing that. I'll block in the color, and then I'll go to the next step. And then when I'm on the last step, then after I finish it, then I'm kind of done, you know, and that kind of helps me. When I first started, I painted with the oils, but then I switched to acrylics. And the brilliant thing with acrylics is that they dry much faster. And there's some things you can mix with the acrylics that make them dry even faster. So now I don't, and that's what helps speed up the painting quite a bit too, is that I don't have to wait for it to dry. I mean, I don't have to wait a long time for it to dry. Sometimes it'll dry in minutes. Then I can touch it and feel it and see if I did what I think I did, you know. So, and also there's mediums you can mix in with the paint. So I can have one paint like acrylic, and make it work like watercolor or make it work like oil paint, but it's all the same paint. It's just the different mediums that I mix in with it to make the changes the way it works. And that's really opened up a lot of things because, because I can do a wash or a tint, but I'm still using the same paint, so if I have a color that I mixed, I know what that color is, but then I could, I can use that color as a really thick, like oil paint, or I can use it as a tint in another part of the painting. So I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, but I use brushes but when I first started, I only used 2 or 3 colors. And then I just very slowly added other colors. So like if you were in my studio, you would see paintings from the last 20 years. The start is very geometric, only 2 colors, 3 colors, no shadow, no blending of colors, none of that. So over the years, I just sort of add a different, add another step to it, another, I'm try to push it a little bit. And I fall on my face a lot, like a lot of failure. My favorite part of the studio is I call it the rack of shame. And it's all these paintings that are terrible. I made mistakes. And I love it though, because every one of those I've learned something. And for me, painting is a verb. It's something you do. So whether a painting turns out or not, I even if it's a commission, I don't really care. I got the benefit out of it. I'm better off for it. I had a better day. If it turns out, that's brilliant. If it doesn't turn out, I learned something. The next one will be better. So I don't know. Sorry, I know I went off on a tangent, guys. I apologize.
I love that. And I'm excited. I am on Facebook, and I'll join your live next week. So
I'd love for you to. And if you do, please say hi on the chat. And if there's any questions, if there's anything you want me to show you or whatever, please do not hesitate to ask. That's why I do the Facebook Live, so I can chat with people, and it's so much fun.
That's great. Well, you have been extremely encouraging and inspiring, John. We really, really appreciate all your information.
And Sarah, you've done a great job speaking with John here. And John, thank you again for your energetic, enthusiastic sharing of your passion. And also, thank you for donating a print to give away here today. And I'm going to, Chelsea, I know you had your hand raised. We need to move on. We can, John, I know I've got your email. Is it okay to share your email in a follow-up email to everybody here?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And I will do that if anyone wants to get in touch with you. That way they can. We've got the door prizes to give away here. We have a print donated by John Bramblett. Thank you very much for that. And Mindy?
Yes, we do. And that print goes to Alice Lopez.
Well, there you go.
Yay.
Congratulations, Alice.
I know. I can't wait to see what it looks like. It's exciting. And the next door prize we have is $50 door prize donated from HAVIN. And that door prize goes to Lillian Cardona. I'm so sorry. Lillian Cardona. You've won $50 prize from HAVIN.
And she is here.
Yes.
Awesome. So Lillian, congratulations on that too. And we will be in touch to follow up on these door prizes. I want to wrap up and say thank you all for being here today. There's more to come this afternoon from 1 to 3 Central Time in the exhibit hall. It's virtual exhibit hall. I want to share quick closing words here. Thank you to the entire HAVIN team for making this successful. Thank you to our speakers, our presenters, and thank you to our performers for donating what they have done as well. I think the essence is this is a visually impaired community, and our mission at HAVIN is to bring unity to our community, and that's exactly what happened here today. And it reinforces the message of being successful often takes a team. Just as Helen Keller said, together we can do so much. So thank you all for being here. I want to share that for the next hour, we're going to be working on setting up the exhibit rooms, and we'll ask people to leave and rejoin at 10 till 1 Central Time, and that'll be 10 till 2 Eastern Time if you're on Eastern Time, because let us work on getting the room set up, get our exhibitors all squared away so they can have a successful exhibit hall. I also want to give out, if you're looking for something to do this evening at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, our Canadian friends at Toronto Visionaries, that they're hosting a successful Canadian folk singer who is also visually impaired, Roy Forbes, and he is putting on a performance night. It's free to attend. It'll be on Zoom, and we can share that information in a follow-up email this afternoon that for connection to that. So
yes,
and
I agree.
At this time, I will say go have a good lunch, and we will see you back here at 1 o'clock. So thank you all for being here for another successful Insight Expo.